Part 55. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 549. Taking back the Tai 5 Yan Luo from Zhu Hong was just a small matter in the heart of Patriarch Hun Yuan. He once had a battle with Qi Shuming, the master of Yimeis Qinkan Genki Miao Ai. Last time, I only had the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword in my hand. Although it was not weak in power, it was not as powerful as the Yuan Yang and Thunderbolt swords combined into one. This time he has mastered the five poison immortal sword, and coupled with the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword, he has already defeated Qi Shuming's Mandarin Duck and Thunderbolt sword. Even without Tai Wan Luo, he was sure to win the second sword fight. Reporting to the leader, 3 days ago Tong Yuan Kai, the seven immortals of the Yimei sect, sent a letter of challenge and asked us to have a showdown on the Tianzu Peak of Mount Wutai today. Tianzu Peak is the highest peak of Wutai Mountain, reaching a height of 100,000 feet. The peak is covered with snow all year round, the wind is biting, and all living things are extinct. Because of the harsh climate, monks below nascent soul cannot even think of going up Tianzu Peak. After nodding slightly, he stood up. The magic power of the 12th level of Yuan Shen spread out, and a tyrannical pressure enveloped the entire Wutai sect. Disciples, listen to my orders and follow me to fight. Yes. Everyone responded loudly, and the escaping lights merged together, like a string of stars dotted in the Milky Way, flying out of Tongtian Gorge and flying straight towards Tianzu Peak. The second sword fight between Yimei and Wutai was fought only by the leaders of both sects, but it was also a rare event in the spiritual world. Although the cultivation of the two is far inferior to that of Shen Nefenchuo and Su Junming, they each lead the sect and have extraordinary status. Coupled with years of publicity, they have enough preparation time, so the number of people who come to watch the battle in advance exceeds that of Fenchuo and Su Junming. Fighting in Biang Mountain. However, the environment at Tianzu Peak is harsh, and only those with a level of cultivation above the nascent soul realm can go up there. Therefore, there were not many people watching the game. But there are thousands. The spiritual energy of Zhongqian world is strong, and the scale of practitioners far exceeds that of Huaxia world and Liuzai world, and in terms of quality, it is even better. In the Liuzai world, the gods are respected, but in the Shushan world, the immortals are the most powerful. What's more strange is that the achievement of Golden Immortal in Shushan world is not the last realm among the four realms of immortality that Su Junming believes. Instead, monks whose physical bodies and souls ascend to the heavens at the same time are called Golden Immortals. It means the best in immortality and the most holy in the world. Taoist Master Heshe, Master Chenmei, Zhang Sanfen, the founder of the Wudaing sect, Kunlun Yuan Patriarch, and the blissful boy Li Jingxiu, etc., are all great powers who have ascended to this realm. If you want to achieve the last realm of the four realms of immortality, with the concentration of spiritual energy in the Shushan world, you will need at least thousands or even tens of thousands of years of practice. No one wants to waste time in the world of Shushan even though they know that there is a spiritual world rich in spiritual energy. Swish. The escaping lights pierced the sky, tore apart the atmosphere, and flew across the sky. In an instant, there seemed to be a meteor shower on Wutai Mountain, colorful and brilliant in the sky. All the escaping lights were as fast as lightning, flying straight towards the highest peak in the center of the Taihang Mountains. Seen from a distance, the peak is steep up and down, like a huge pillar reaching into the sky. Most of the surrounding peaks are only half of it, and even the tall ones are only 2/3 of it. White clouds cover nearly half of the area, and the upper part is silvery white. The biting wind and icy breath can be felt from a long distance away. A 5-color spiritual light cut through the void, drew a beautiful arc, and landed on the top of Tianzu Peak. Looking at the middle-aged man with an elegant temperament and a jade crown wearing a green Taoist robe, Tai Hun Yuan Patriarch Chen Lin's face instantly turned cold. Qinkan Genki Miao I Genren Qi Shuming. fellow Taoist Qi arrived very early. Fellow Taoist Hunyuan is the leader of the sect, and we are going to meet for a martial arts fight. Of course Qi Shuming must arrive early, otherwise outsiders will think that I, Ime, have not the courage to be a leader of the righteous path. The leader of the righteous path, Patriarch Hunyuan's face showed a sarcastic look. There are countless Taoist sects in the world. When Master Chenmei was around, he didn't even dare to claim to be the leader. Fellow Taoist Qi far surpasses his master in terms of arrogance. Qi Shuming frowned, and a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. Fellow Taoist Hunyuan asked Pandeo to come here. Isn't he just here to quarrel? Of course not. Patriarch Tai Hunyuan pinched his sword finger with his right hand, and his magic power surged. In an instant, the situation at the top of Tianzi Peak changed. A dark black sword energy and a multicolored sword energy rose into the sky. Qi Shuming had a solemn look on his face. He had already experienced the power of the demon-killing immortal sword during the last sword fight. If it hadn't been for the unparalleled Mandarin Duck and Thunderbolt sword given by his mentor Chenmei Genren, I might not have been able to defeat Tai Hunyuan Patriarch. The latter spent 10 years of hard work, using the 5 innate poisons, Zhengjin Poison Locust, Jiamuzuyu, Kuawaxing Guo, Binghuo Mandu, and Wutu Tianchang as the foundation, and assisted by the Wutai sect's thousands of years of accumulation, to master this skill. 5 Poison Immortal Sword. Its power is even greater than that of the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword. Now that the two swords are combined into one, the power is more than 10 times more powerful. However, my Yuan Yang Thunderbolt sword was made by my mentor using the innate Tai Fine Gold and combined with the Taking Suanman prohibition system. Unless it is a top-notch immortal sword at the purple-green double sword level, there is nothing to fear. With a certain determination in his heart, he raised his sword finger with his left hand. In an instant, there was a thunderbolt from the blue, and accompanied by a dazzling brilliance, 2 sword lights, one green and one purple, soared into the sky from behind Qi Shuming. The sword energy spread hundreds of feet across, and it was weak and thunderous, heading straight towards Tai Hunyuan Patriarch. With a cold snort, Chen Lin invoked the sword technique, and the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword and the 5 poison immortal sword were like dragons coming out of the water, roaring towards the purple sword light. There was a boom, and in an instant, the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. The sword energy in the sky turned into a rain of light and exploded, like fireworks blooming, ushering in the long-lost excitement above the eternal ice peak. In this beautiful fireworks, 2 sword lights, one green and one purple, come and go, like light and electricity. The 2 sword energies of Suanhei and Wukai are as thin as light smoke, but as fast as thunder. The 4 sword rays strangled together fiercely, some were as heavy as a giant stone, falling like a mountain, or as light as a feather, whirling gracefully. The complicated kendo skills were mastered with ease in the hands of the 2 of them. The movement moves like an antelope hanging its horns, leaving no trace behind. The connection is smooth, like stars flying and turning, and it's wonderful. The sword fight between the 2 people made everyone around them dazzled and amazed. Amitabha, Master Miao and Patriarch Hunyuan have such profound swordsmanship. An old monk wearing a yellow cassock sighed. What Master Kongwen said is true. Su has been practicing swordsmanship for 300 years, but he is still less than 70% as good as the 2 masters. It is really shameful. A big man in black robes with a sword box on his back echoed. Master Kongwen, among us, you have the highest cultivation level, the oldest age, and extensive knowledge. Can you tell who is better in today's fight? Kongwen is the abbot of Pushun Temple at Xianyuan Peak in Wutai Mountain. He has been practicing for 500 years and has reached the 9th level of Yuan Shen. The big man with the sword on his back, and the man in yellow robe who spoke last, are casual cultivators near Xianyuan Peak, and they are also Yuan Shen cultivators. The 3 of them talked about mysteries and Taoism on weekdays, and they were familiar with each other and had a deep friendship. Kong Wen stared at the fighting in mid-air and shook his head after a moment. The old monk is so stupid that he really can't see through it. At this moment, almost everyone watching the battle within 100 miles around Tianzi Peak had similar thoughts to the three of them. However, the battle between Miao Igenren Qi Shuming and Hunyuan Patriarch Chen Lin was extremely fierce. In addition, the two men had similar cultivation levels. No one could tell the winner for a while. Master, it seems that my new junior brother is not only proficient in Chunyang Taoism, but also has outstanding attainments in swordsmanship. 100 miles away from Tianzi Peak, in a temporarily open space, Yan Chixia, wearing a green Taoist robe and carrying a blue dragon sword box on her back, said with a smile. Su Junming next to him smiled and nodded. It seems that just letting him practice the pure Yang Wei is a waste of his talent. The supreme treasure of my Chongshan lineage has the function of blessing understanding. With junior brother Chen's extraordinary understanding, fellow practitioners of Chunyang Dao and Sword Dao will not lag too far behind. What's more, in addition to senior brothers, and I am almost a fellow practitioner of both disciplines, and I have never seen anyone slow down. Aren't you also practicing the way of controlling beasts? Su Junming said with a smile. Master, why should I ask this question knowingly? The way of controlling beasts is just a supplementary training. The way of sword is the disciple's fundamental way. After finishing his words, he opened his palms, and a four-legged cauldron with twinkling auras, embossed cloud patterns and thunder seals, sky wind, thunder and lightning, gods, demons, and monsters flew towards Su Junming. He reached out and made a move, and it fell into his hand. After looking at it for a while, he said, "Is this the Yuding?" Exactly. In addition to this, the disciple also got a Taiyan earth net. A mesh bag with a black body and rich spiritual light flew out from the palm of his hand. Su Junming nodded slightly, his consciousness immersed in Yuding, and a space thousands of miles across was reflected in the sea of consciousness. One of them is thousands of feet long, with black scales all over its body, a mouth full of sharp teeth, and a single horn on its head. It is shaped like a giant whale, and the demonic monster is reflected in the sea of consciousness. In the distance, there are 6 giant green dragons with a body length of several hundred feet. Why is there still a big whale? Su Junming had long known that there was a dragon in Yandang Lake, but he had forgotten about the gun monster suppressed by Dao at the bottom of the lake. It was originally suppressed at the bottom of the lake by Yuding and Taiyan earthly network. After I subdued a few sinful dragons, it began to cause trouble at the bottom of the lake. Fortunately, I have the Tai Golden Dragon boat given by the master, which can be used with the Xianyuan sword and Kang Long sword. Box to suppress it? I originally planned to kill it, but seeing that it has deep roots and is a relic from ancient times, and the master told me that if it encounters a demon, it is mainly to capture it alive, and finally it was suppressed in Yuding. Su Junming nodded and said, "Well done. Your fourth uncle is in need of this labor." With a casual wave of his hand, Yuding flew into Yan Chixia's hands. Look at his stunned expression. This Yuding is a top-grade immortal weapon. Your master and I can't make such a treasure yet. We can't increase its power by taking it, so you can use it first. Although this Taiyan earth net is of medium quality, I will take it back and study it for a while before talking about it. Master, Yuding is powerful and good at both offense and defense. You'd better accept it, Yan Chixia said. It's rare for you to have such filial piety. But your master, I have a good treasure in my hands. Although this Yuding is strong, there is no shortage of it. But you have the merit of Yandang killing Jiao and suppressing Gun. Now that your cultivation has recovered, your hands there are a few more immortal weapons in it, which will be more convenient for future practice. In addition, Liu Yun has already achieved Yuan Shen. In a short time, it will be time to go through the immortal tribulation. As a master, you must also prepare an immortal weapon for him. Also, your senior brother has Ye Tianyun and Wang Chao, your second senior brother has Yang Rong, Lin Rui, and Zhou Qing, and your third senior sister has Gong Sun Juniang and Ning Keichen, and now you have a new Situ Minjiao. In addition to Qing Feng, Yueqi and Tang Zikan, your fifth junior sister also has a new aunt Deng. Zhuolong, your third uncle's sect, also has two disciples, Gu Hong and Shi Sheng. Your new junior brother will have 2 or 3 disciples as expected. You are the least of them now. Master, what matters when recruiting disciples is fate. Apart from Liu Yun, I really haven't met anyone who can catch my eye. Su Junming waved his hand. You may have misunderstood what I meant. I am not urging you to accept disciples. I am reminding you to save more money for yourself. Otherwise, if you accept disciples in the future and have nothing to give to others, wouldn't it be a joke? Disciple understands. With a wave of his hand, a jade slip flew into Yan Shixia's hand. His spiritual consciousness was immersed in it, and he was instantly attracted by the contents. Soon, a look of excitement showed on his face. Master, this sword technique is profound, so powerful. 7 days ago, I was on the Sands Cliff deep in the Taihang Mountains. By luck, I found the Hangsu immortal mansion left by Master Chunyang in the world, and obtained a Tian escape sword art that leads directly to the Golden Immortal. After enlightenment, I met Xianyu and Zhu. The swords confirmed each other, and I gained a lot of insights. Now I give you this insight and understanding of the heavenly escape sword technique, and you can use it to practice. Thank you, Master. Yan Shixia's face was filled with joy. You are welcome. Boom. Suddenly there was a thunderbolt in the clear sky, and the huge thunder shook the small space temporarily created by Su Junming. Anyway, the attention of the two people was attracted. Looking far away, you can see Qi Shuming's right hand pointing his sword in the air, commanding the Mandarin Duck and Thunderbolt sword with 2 sword lights, one green and one purple, to fight fiercely with the demon-killing immortal sword and the 5-poison divine sword. He pinched the thunder seal with his left hand, activated his magic power, and waved it in the air, causing thunder and lightning and a huge earthquake in the sky. Junior brother Qi's Tai divine thunder has improved again. A middle-aged man wearing a grey robe sighed. Taochuo, who was wearing an iron hoop next to him, nodded in agreement. Junior brother Qi has been reincarnated for 9 generations. He has a deep foundation, and his qualifications and understanding are both top choices. In addition, he has practiced hard. It is not surprising that he can have such magical power. After finishing his words, he frowned and looked at the mysterious black and colorful sword lights that were coming and going. It's just that Tai Hunyuan Patriarch has made so much progress after just 10 years of not seeing each other. It really shouldn't be underestimated. If by any chance, Xianzhenzi understood the meaning of his words. Think for a moment. If nothing can be done, we have no choice but to bring out the Tai invisible sword left by Master. Everyone thinks that Imei's purple and green swords are unparalleled, but in fact there is also a Tai invisible sword that is equally powerful. It's just that compared to Ziyi Ying and Qing Suo's reputation, the Tai invisible sword is rarely used because it causes bloodshed and kills too hard. After Master Chenmei ascended to the throne, he left it to his eldest disciple Xianzhenzi, who defended Imei and suppressed the disobedience. The ascetic Tutu frowned. If this is the case, it will inevitably give people the unfair impression that Imei is bullying others, which will be detrimental to the future development of our section. Junior brother, what you said is wrong. In another 60 years, the great catastrophe of the immortals will come. At that time, Imei, will dominate the world. Even if the immortals are dissatisfied, they will still obey me, Imei, for the sake of their own path. After a pause, he looked at the figure in the distance with his right hand forming a sword finger, commanding the demon-killing immortal sword and the 5-poison immortal sword to fight hard, and his eyes gradually became fierce. Although I don't want to admit it, Patriarch Taoist is indeed a genius that has not been born in the world of cultivation for thousands of years. Not only has he outstanding qualifications and amazing understanding, but he also has the great ability to command the people and lead the sky. If we give him another 60 years, the Wutai sect will definitely reach a higher level of strength under his command. At that time, it will be the biggest stumbling block in the rise of our Ime section. So we must not allow him to live anymore. After the ascetic Tutu whispered the Buddha's name, he nodded vigorously. They, Ime, are not afraid of immortals such as Old Man Shivi and Ancestor Haha, because no matter how strong they are only one person. When it comes to the ability to teach disciples and run the sect, they are far behind Taoist Patriarch. But the Wutai sect is different. Under the leadership of Patriarch Taoist, its strength is growing day by day. If he defeats Ji Shuming again this time, his reputation will surely rise to a higher level. The appeal among the two paths of evil and evil will become stronger and stronger. If they are allowed to integrate the evil and demonic paths that are scattered in the sand, even if Ime can command the right path, he will eventually face a tragic war. So before coming, they decided on a strategy. It would be best if Ji Shuming could defeat Patriarch Hunyuan. If that doesn't work, Xianzhenzi will use the Tai invisible sword to help him. If that doesn't work, they will swarm forward and try to kill Tai Hunyuan Patriarch. A faint sword light flew into the valley and fell into Xianzhenzi's hands. His consciousness soaked in, and his face showed joy. Junior brothers Bai and Zhu have arrived at Xianshuang Valley. If Wutai sends a group of gangsters to take action, they will lead the 7 immortals of Luofu to stop them. The ascetic Tuchuo nodded and looked at the increasingly fierce battle in mid-air. Now everything is on par with junior brother. Rumble. The 4 sword lights collided fiercely together, and the sky was filled with thunder and ripples. Patriarch Hunyuan was full of energy and waved the sword finger of his right hand. He made 10 swings of the demon-killing immortal sword and the 5 poison sword, and his sword energy was unparalleled. One act is light and the other act is domineering. He slashed towards Ji Shuming like he was flying. Not to be outdone, the latter mobilized the Mandarin Duck and Thunderbolt sword to meet him, and at the same time released a Tai Divine Thunder. Patriarch Hunyuan stretched out his hand and the 5 poison immortal sword released a red sword light, blocking the Divine Thunder. It's been a day and a night, and it's time to decide the winner. But Master said that Ime has already launched a large-scale attack. There are no signs yet. I'm afraid they are hiding in the dark, waiting for opportunities. Thinking of his master's words, Patriarch Hunyuan shook his head inwardly. If he had known the news earlier, he would have probably made preparations early and invited a few powerful colleagues to help out. But now that I have decided to give up this body and practice cultivation again, there is no need for this. But the Ime faction doesn't want to be shy. They agreed to fight between 2 people, but in the end they all attacked together. It's really too much bullying. There must be something in return. Thinking of this, Patriarch Hunyuan's expression gradually became fierce. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 550. Patriarch Hunyuan, whose thoughts gradually became firmer, clasped his hands together and touched them together with a pop sound. Now that you have decided to give up this body, you don't have to worry about anything. The 5 poisonous trouble sounds. In an instant, a green snake with a green body and a single horn on its head, a fiery red toad with 6 strange eyes on its head, an earthy yellow centipede with 6 tails, a poisonous scorpion as black as ink with 2 heads and 5 tails, a white spider with strange eyes on its lower abdomen. The 5 poison phantoms flew out from the 5 poison immortal sword. In an instant, high-pitched or low-pitched snake hisses, frog songs, scorpion sounds, centipede calls, and spider calls merged into an invisible and qualityless torrent, crushing towards the opposite side. Qi Shuming has been practicing for the 9th generation and has rich experience in facing enemies. He can wave a string of Tai Divine Thunder with his wave. He majored in the Pure Yang Way, and although he had extraordinary attainments in the Thunder Way, he was not as good as the monks who switched to the Thunder Way. The power of Tai Divine Thunder is good against ordinary souls, but it is far inferior to the evenly matched Hunyuan Patriarch. What's more important is that Thunder's ability to weaken invisible and insubstantial sounds is limited. The same goes for sword energy. Despite the sharpness of the Mandarin Duck and Thunderbolt sword, the 5 poison trouble sounds pressed by Master Hunyuan at the bottom of the box still passed through the layers of barriers and poured into Qi Shuming's ears. In an instant, 3 souls vibrated, 7 souls disappeared, and a feeling of dizziness arose in his heart. Not good. My heart was shocked, and I couldn't bear to give up. I subconsciously activated the protective jade talisman my mentor left behind when he ascended. A layer of pale white spiritual light rose, and all the sounds of the 5 poisons and troubles were instantly isolated. At this moment, a black sword energy broke through the blockade of the Yuan Yang Thunderbolt sword and reached in front of him. Boom! The sharp sword energy struck the white shield hard, and Qi Shuming was instantly knocked several dozen feet away. After several fights, it was like a rabbit rising and a falcon falling. In an instant, Qi Shuming was at a disadvantage. The people watching the battle were in an uproar. The 5 poisonous trouble sounds. Patriarch Hunyuan used his old tricks again. Although Qi Shuming's protective talisman was infinitely mysterious, he could only use it less than once, and he could only be beaten passively. Qi Shuming's expression was gloomy. He was defeated in front of everyone and was really humiliated. However, when I think about it, everyone is planning. Take a deep breath and exhale loudly. Fellow Taoist Hunyuan, you actually hurt someone with a secret arrow. You really are unbecoming of a leader of a sect. The mighty sound waves spread in all directions, and everyone could hear it. It's hard for everyone to understand why. It's a secret arrow that hurts someone? Why didn't they see it? Haha, Qi Shuming, I really look up to you. I didn't expect that the dignified headmaster of Imei is also a hypocritical and courageous person. After a pause, Xianzhenzi, ascetic Taochuo, don't hide. Since you have been here a long time ago, why not show up and see him? What? Xianzhenzi and ascetic Tutu are here. Aren't the 3 immortals of the East China Sea planning to gang up on Tai Hunyuan Patriarch? This is too shameless. Just as everyone was talking about it, a sword light of invisible material suddenly appeared 3 feet behind Hunyuan Patriarch, and stabbed secretly towards the big hole in his back. The Tai invisible sword is indeed a treasure of Imei. It is invisible and has unparalleled sword energy. The distance of 3 feet was instantly crossed, but just when he was about to hit the Hunyuan Patriarch, a layer of 5 color clouds flew up, blocking the Tai invisible sword. Tai Wan Luo. Xianzhenzi looked ugly. Damn Zhu Hong, how dare you lie to me? For the second sword fight, he invited a Tai Ching talisman from the Qiling Peak of Imei, and then spent 3 years to find the Geng gold poison locust from the depths of Shiwen Mountain, and asked Zhu Hong to present it to Tai Hunyuan the Patriarch, taking the opportunity of the award, lent the Tai 5 Yan Luo from his hand, and then sealed it with the Taking Spirit talisman. Without Tai Wan Luo, no matter how powerful the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword and the 5 poison immortal sword are, they are not defensive weapons after all and cannot stop Tai's invisible sword from cutting. Who would have thought that Zhu Hong, who had been trained by him to obey his advice, would actually lie to him? The sword had no effect, and Xianzhenzi no longer hid his whereabouts, revealing his figure 100 feet away behind Patriarch Hunyuan. The ascetic Tutu appeared 100 feet away to the left of Patriarch Hunyuan. The 3 immortals of the East China Sea form a triangle and surround Tai Hunyuan Patriarch in the middle. Hunyuan common man, my junior brother is fighting a fair sword fight with you, but I know that you are secretly deceitful and intend to hide poison. In this case, I, the three immortals of the East China Sea, will seek justice from you, Xianzhenzi said loudly. Ha ha ha. Laughing full of sarcasm, I remember how majestic the Master Long Eyebrow was in the world back then. I didn't expect that the disciples he accepted were not as good as the others. If he couldn't fight, he would defeat him, and now he even wants to attack in groups. Laughter turns to dominance. Come on, I am not afraid. His heroic spirit and fearless temperament instantly infected all the monks watching the battle around him. The patriarch of Tai Hunyuan is truly worthy of being the ancestor of the same lineage. He is majestic and admirable. That's true. If we give him another 100 years, the Wutai sect will definitely be able to master both good and evil. Imei's move is unrighteous. Even if the threat of the Wutai sect can be eliminated in the end, it will inevitably lose the good reputation accumulated by the Chenmei master for thousands of years. I like this little junior brother. Master, how about I give him a helping hand, Yan Shixia said. Su Junming shook his head. Your junior brother joined the Northern Demon sect a long time ago, and his foundation is not solid. If you want to go far on the immortal path, you must practice again. This fight is just the right time to give up this body. Yan Shixia nodded and said nothing more. Xianzhenzi's face became increasingly ugly. He is also at the 12th level of the Yuan Shen, a figure close to becoming an immortal. He has sharp ears and eyes, and can hear the discussions of everyone around him. Although I had expected this, I was still angry when it actually happened. The sword pointed at him. Tai's invisible sword slashed towards Patriarch Hunyuan like lightning. The ascetic Tutu shook his head slightly, raised his right palm, and slapped it from a distance. A giant palm of golden light, 100 feet in size, struck directly at Patriarch Hunyuan. Master Miaoi, Qi Shuming, looked cold and solemn. He had just been defeated by the Hunyuan Patriarch, which made him full of anger. Without saying a word, he activated the Mandarin Duck and Thunderbolt sword to kill the fierce and cunning super-old opponent. In an instant, the battle became countless times more intense. The Wutai sect who were watching the battle from a distance saw their ancestor being besieged, but they couldn't bear it any longer, and they all urged the escape light to fly over. However, more than a dozen rays of light rushed out from below. They were the two elders of Songshan, Bai Gai and Zumei, as well as several second-generation disciples of the Luofu Seven Immortals and the Imei sect. Feng Guo Taoist Wu Yuanzi. Canli real person Su Yuan Tong. Master Yuan Yuan of Xiangxiu Cave in Luofu Mountain. Tong Yuan Kai's Flying Rainbow. Bearded Immortal Li Yuan Hua. Drunk Taoist. Master of Wangshan Dingxia. The Dragon Slayer Master. The Stone Master. Master Baiyun Yuan Zheng. Shuijing Taoist. MRS Miao I Sun Lanyan. In an instant, the sword energy flew into the sky, thousands of demonic lights flashed, and the aftermath of the battle shook the void thousands of miles away. It was originally just a battle between the leaders of the two factions in Imei Wutai, but now it has turned into a war between the two factions. Although the Wutai sect is no worse than Imei in terms of paper strength, their foundational background as they were born in the Northern Demon sect is far inferior to that of Imei, who inherited the taking Taoist tradition. It can't be seen in a short time, but when the three axes pass, except for a few people such as Master Tuochuo, Yu Qinbin, Su Finiang, and Fa Yuan, everyone else will be at a disadvantage. The Patriarch Hunyuan, who was besieged by the three immortals of the East China Sea, tried his best to fight back, but he was gradually at a disadvantage when he was besieged by three opponents whose cultivation levels were similar to his own. If it weren't for the Taiyi 5 Yan Luo, which he spent hundreds of years of hard work to collect the purple energy of the morning glow from the east, he would have been killed by the three of them. Not far away, the second-generation disciples of the Wutai sect were also besieged by the Imei disciples, and they gradually began to suffer casualties. Sure enough, everything is as my mentor said before. The Ime sect has already planned and has no intention of giving me a fair fight. The thought fell, and a black talisman hidden in the magic bag flew to his chest in a vague way. Since you want to kill me, don't blame me for being rude. He withdrew the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword and the 5-poison immortal sword, unleashed all his mana, and used Taiwan Luo to directly receive the blows from 3 people. Even though the huge counter-attack force was weakened by Taiwan Luo, it still left Hunyuan Patriarch's chest. The blood was boiling and he almost spurted blood. Gritting his teeth and staring, he pinched hard with both hands. The black talisman on his chest instantly turned into a space channel the size of a wash basin. Withdrawing the Tai 5 Yan Luo, the figure of Patriarch Hunyuan disappeared in it instantly, and when he reappeared, he was 1 foot behind Xianzhenzi. The whole process was astonishingly fast, giving the 3 of them almost no time to react. The powerful aura that suddenly appeared behind him made Xianzhenzi's hair stand on end. I was shocked. Not good. 2 bright sword lights stabbed towards the back of the heart like lightning. It is said that those who are good at swimming die from drowning. Xianzhenzi has killed countless powerful enemies with the Tai invisible sword. He never thought that one day he would encounter a similar trick. Subconsciously, he activated the protective talisman left by his mentor Changmei Jinren, but the speed of the 2 sword lights was too fast, and the distance was also close. Xianzhenzi's physical body, which had no protective treasure, was cut off instantly, and only a spiritual talisman protected his soul to escape. Run? How can I let you run away? Patriarch Hunyuan hated Xianzhenzi, who was behind the attack, and chased after him as fast as lightning. Stop hurting my senior brother. Ascetic Tuchuo and Qi Shuming were very anxious and quickly chased after him. The mystery of the Hushan talisman was fully revealed at this moment. Tai Hunyuan Patriarch, who seemed to have changed his form, quickly caught up with Suan Zhenzi Yuan Shen. Seeing the latter's frightened expression, a ferocious look appeared on his face. Burst. Boom. Seeing the indigo cloud bursting forward thousands of feet and spanning dozens of miles, everyone around them was stunned. Even the Wutai sect and Ime monks who were fighting subconsciously stopped. Everyone thought that the fight between the 2 sides might be brutal, but they never expected that Patriarch Hunyuan would be so fierce. Even if he was afraid of self-destruction, he would never let Ime have an easy time. This technique of killing 1,000 enemies and damaging oneself 1,005 times rarely appears in the world of spiritual practice. Moreover, although Ime shamelessly fought in groups, he did not intend to really destroy the Hunyuan Patriarch physically and mentally. According to the plan of the 3 immortals of the East China Sea, he just wanted to reincarnate his soldiers. But the development of things was completely beyond their expectation. Master! Wan Miao Fairy Su Finiang's piercing cry brought everyone in the Wutai sect back to their senses instantly. Ime, I will fight with you. Lin Yuan, who had a hot temper, raised the flying sword in his hand, and the 3 sword lights of red, blue, and purple were like 3 meteors, and they struck directly at the Feng Guo Taoist Wu Yuanzi opposite him like lightning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 551. Chapter 540, Both body and soul are destroyed. The people of the Wutai sect were completely ignited by the self-destruction of the Hunyuan Patriarch. Except for a few cunning people, everyone else had red eyes, gritted their teeth, and killed everyone in Ime desperately. There is a saying that people who are stunned are afraid of being violent, and those who are violent are afraid of losing their lives. For a time, everyone in Ime was under great pressure. However, the battle between the monks was not a fight between ordinary armies. Ime's profound strength allowed them to finally block the Wutai sect's desperate Saburo-style attack. When the anger in his mind gradually calmed down, he soon fell into a disadvantage. A big battle lasted for 2 days and 2 nights. In the end, Xianzhenzi was destroyed physically and mentally by the self-destruction of Hunyuan Patriarch. Qinkanzhenki Miao Zhenren Qi Shuming, his physical body fell, and only his soul escaped. Ascetic Tutu relied on the speed of the heart light escape technique to escape from the core area of the explosion, but he was also seriously injured. Taoist Chao Tian Guan Shui Jing from Zhang Songling in Minchen died at the hands of Master Tuochuo. The latter was also attacked by the 2 elders of Songshan and had to be dismissed. In addition, Tai Hunyuan Patriarch also blew himself up and died in the eyes of outsiders, destroying both body and soul, but his soul was actually saved by Su Junming. Wanmiao Feri Su Finiang, Yu Qinbin, and Suan Du Taoist Lin Yuan were physically dismantled. When they originally planned to explode their souls like Nai Shi, they were swept up by an inexplicable force and disappeared instantly. The rest, like the golden-bodied Arhat Fa Yuan, Taoist Jiao Shan, seven-handed Yaksha Longfei, Sun and Moon Monk Qian Xiao, etc., took the opportunity to run away after the Wutai sect was defeated. The Wutai faction suffered heavy losses and was almost destroyed. Although the Imei sect won, it was also a tragic victory. 3 immortals from the East China Sea, 1 dead and 2 seriously injured. It's okay for the ascetic Taochuo, but if Miao Zhenren Qi Shuming doesn't stabilize the body of the soul, I'm afraid it will inevitably hurt the Taoist foundation. For a time, Imei was filled with gloom and mist. The theory of Imei's great prosperity seems to be covered with a layer of dust. Fortunately, Master Chenmei's thousands of years of practice have left Imei with a strong family background. Although his strength has been greatly reduced, his foundation has not been shaken. However, many evil heretics took advantage of the fact that Imei was severely damaged by the Wutai sect to cause trouble. But they were soon hit hard. First, the 18 evil demons of Kongtong Mountain were suppressed, and then the 2 famous old monsters of Tianqin and Decay were severely defeated, and even their old nest of Kongtong was taken away. And the Ice Phoenix Fairy Su Huang who did all this is a powerful figure in the cultivation world. At the same time in the Central Plains, the bearded swordsman Yan Chixia, following Yandang's slaying of the dragon, swept across Bamang Mountain's underworld Saint Su Wan and a group of Swanyan sect ghosts. Bamang Mountain, which has been infested with ghosts and monsters for thousands of years, has become a kind place for the first time. In the south of the Yangtze River, Kongsang Fairy Chiao Shaoxin suppressed the underground fire under the Yunwu Mountain. At the same time, he suppressed hundreds of evil monks such as Feng Wu, the leader of the 100 demons, and Li Banfan, the master of Faisha in the Huangshi cave in Yuelaling, causing Imei to suffer from serious injuries. The demonic atmosphere was cleared. In southern Xinjiang, Dragon Emperor, the true lord of 5 virtues, swept across the Kangmang Mountain and killed Gu Chen, the remnant of the Tianyan sect who had been suppressed here by the true master Chang Mei. Defeated the Green Bag Fairy Huiasong and the Imei sect's next true master. If it weren't for the merits of the 2 of them, I'm afraid they would have suppressed the matter. If it were just because of these achievements, although it was amazing, it was nothing. The key is that the 4 of them almost belong to the same sect. Chongshan Academy. Thinking of Su Junming, the true lord of Chongshan who once defeated the god Nefenchuo in Biang Mountain and now opened Chongshan Academy in Chang'an City. A powerful force of righteousness, not huge, but brilliant, surfaced. The threefold cliff of Taihang Mountain contains the Suxian Mansion. Since the second sword fight at Imei Wutai in Tianzu Peak, Su Junming has temporarily held the cave here. In the cave where the alchemy cauldron was once placed, a small tree, 1 foot tall and divided into 4 layers, was suspended in the air. Spiritual energy flew from all directions and was absorbed by it. It is Su Junming's treasure, the palace treasure tree. In the teleportation hall on the 4th floor of the treasure tree, there was a mighty spiritual light. The 6 figures, each tall, short, fat and thin, but with the same obscure aura, gradually solidified. Seeing Su Junming, the 6 people saluted quickly. Meet the patriarch. Gong Sun Juniang, Ning Keichen, Zuj Liu Yuan, Fu Qingfen, Fu Yueqi, and Zuj Wolong's eldest disciple Gu Hong. The 6 of them have stayed in the Chongshan world and have not returned to the Chinese world like Ye Tianyuan, Wang Chao, Yang Rong, Lin Rui, Zhou Qing and Tang Zikan. After all, they are not the children of luck after the spiritual energy of the Chinese world has been revived. Even if they go, they will still have a lot of good opportunities. It would be better to stay in the Chongshan world to practice, and then go to the more powerful Shushan world to seek further opportunities. With a flick of his finger, several rays of spiritual light flew into the sea of consciousness of 6 people. The general situation of this world has been conveyed to you. Leave me and report to your respective masters. When your cultivation is restored, it will not be too late to travel around the world. Disciple, please obey. Su Junming nodded slightly. Go ahead. With a flash of light, the 6 people left the teleportation hall in an instant. They also have the Dongtian Dharma realm given by Su Junming. There is a transfer array in the Dongtian Dharma realm that can directly connect to the Dongtian Dharma realm of their respective masters, so there is no need for Su Junming to tell them the specific address. Looking at the cross-border teleportation array that is still not closed, Su Junming waved his hand, and a light golden cauldron flew into it. After crossing the endless distance, the great cauldron appeared in the world of Chongshan. Whoa, Su Junming's illusory figure flew out from the cauldron. Soon Ao Tian's figure appeared next to him. With a wave of his sleeves, the golden tripod flew over. Everything has been brought to you. Haha, 2,304 strong free laborers, I have been looking forward to it for a long time. With a shot of the cauldron, streaks of light flew into the Emperor's tower that appeared behind Ao Tian. Please take away the seals from them. After Su Junming nodded, he stretched out his hand and all the seals on all the demons and ghosts captured from the Shushan world were released. The Emperor's tower had a flash of inspiration, and calm quickly returned. How? Ao Tian nodded. The Emperor's tower is a low-grade innate spiritual treasure that is comparable to the best immortal weapons. Even if there are 2,304 Yuan Shen monks, they can't even think of escaping. What's more, at the critical moment, I can still trigger this world. The power of heaven and earth will suppress it, and it will definitely be foolproof, so don't worry. After Su Junming nodded, he pointed at the golden tripod, which was green on top and white on the bottom. It was filled with mist, as if it contained endless space, and beads as big as the mouth of a bowl flew out from it. Innate chaos Yuan Fei. Ao Tian's expression instantly became excited. As the heavenly Dao of Chongshan world, the only way for him to be powerful is for Chongshan world to become stronger. The innate chaos Yuan Fei is a divine object that can open up the world and contains endless creation energy. It is simply the best thing to quickly strengthen the world of Chongshan. With a move of his hand, the bowl-sized innate chaos Yuan Fei fell into Ao Tian's hands. Whispering slowly, like a crazy man who sees a beautiful girl. Su Junming understood this feeling, but he didn't have time to let him continue to complain. If you waste any more time, I will help you practice it. No. Subconsciously, he pulled the innate chaos Yuan Fei into his arms. I have to do such an important thing myself. Then hurry up, I'm still rushing back. Ao Tian nodded, and after playing with the blue-white ball in his hand for one last time, he threw it away and the ball flew into the air. In an instant, the powerful power of heaven and earth enveloped him. Kaka. There was a sound like breaking glass. Suddenly, there was a bang, and the mighty innate clear air and innate turbid air flew in all directions like a volcano erupting. In the blink of an eye, it occupied 1,000,000 miles radius. This is a unique tonic, and the world of Chongshan is instantly shaken. The world, which is nearly 2.4 million miles away, is expanding rapidly. In just 7 days, the world of Chongshan doubled in size. 1 month later, when everything stabilized, the area of Chongshan world had exceeded 6 million miles. 13 continents, each more than 700,000 miles away. The starry sky world is 100 times larger than the main world, nearly 600 million miles away. In addition to the 365 main stars, there are tens of thousands of large and small rock stars manifested. Looking at the huge world in front of me, although it is far inferior to the Shushan world, it has saved tens of thousands of years of world biochemistry. The sudden changes in the mountains and rivers have naturally attracted the attention of cultivators. However, after experiencing the big changes in the last world opening, now seeing the situation in front of me and feeling the rapidly rising spiritual energy level around me, I can understand to some extent that it must be. The world has sublimated again. A strong sense of pride rose from the hearts of all Chongshan Academy disciples. Because they know that the entire world of Chongshan is the dojo of the Chongshan lineage. A stronger world means a stronger sect, and they also have a greater future. Feeling Ao Tian's rapid improvement, Su Junming knew that this growth in the world had more than doubled his strength. According to the current foundation of Chongshan world, even if several golden immortals come in, they can suppress them with the palm of their hands. However, unless forced to do so, no golden immortal would be foolish enough to provoke the heavenly Dao of a huge world. Su Junming was just about to regain his consciousness and return to the Shushan world. In an instant, a powerful purple energy spread across the sky, and a strong brilliance shone in Zhongzhou. Stopped subconsciously. Looking at the radiant purple energy, Su Junming showed curiosity on his face. The world of Chongshan has been open for a while, and finally someone has passed the Daisa level test of the human soul divine sect. With one step, with the help of the power of heaven and earth, he instantly arrived at the Shijiang Upper Court of Zhongzhou Chongshan Academy. Shijiang Upper House is one of the earliest 4 upper houses established in Chongshan world. The teaching staff is extremely strong. There are only 27 Yuanying level professors and 2 Yuanchen level doctors. There are 596 Jindan level students in the entire academy. In Chongshan world, it ranks 9th among the 72 upper courts. As the world of Chongshan becomes more powerful, there are more and more high-level monks, and the upper courtyard of Chongshan Academy has become a place dedicated to cultivating Jindan monks. The middle courtyard cultivates innate students, and the lower courtyard cultivates disciples who have just entered the cultivation gate. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 552. Although there are not many people, the Shijiang Upper Court occupies an entire surrounding mountain range, opens up Lingtian and Fang City, and controls 98 middle courts and 596 lower courts within thousands of miles. On the most important Tianling altar in Shijiang Upper Courtyard, there stand 3 tall stone gates that are 3 feet high and 3 feet 9 feet wide. One stone gate is inscribed with the word heaven, one stone gate is inscribed with the word earth, and one stone gate is inscribed with the word human. These 2 stone gates are magic weapons practiced by Su Junming. Their only function is to summon the projection of the human soul gate to test their qualifications and talent. The human gate has the highest pass rate. As long as you have the qualifications and understanding above the average person, have a good nature, and are not a criminal, sinister, or cunning person, you can basically pass. The heaven character divine gate tests one's character usually. Only those who pass the test of the Tian character divine gate can be considered as complete graduates, otherwise, they are just considered as dropouts. The pass rate of the Di divine gate is the lowest. Even from the opening of Chongshan world to now, almost no one can pass. But this record is destined to become history today. Above the tall disciple Shenman, purple energy soared into the sky. 2 lotus seats rise and fall in the purple air. There are 2 figures, big and small, sitting cross-legged on it. The older one is wearing a purple robe, carrying a sword box on his back, and a golden crown on his head. He is a young man of about 13 or 14 years old. The younger one looks about 8 or 9 years old, with a childish look on his chubby little face. There is a red mark about an inch long between the eyebrows, like a closed eye. Being able to pass through the Daiza divine gate that no one had ever passed through before, the two of them were now confused, with incredible excitement in their eyes. The vast celestial phenomenon attracted the entire Shijiang upper courtyard. Especially the tall middle-aged man in green robes and an old woman holding a cane at the front looked at the two with envy in their eyes. Although they are already Yuan-Shen monks, they are only considered inner sects and are not direct descendants of Chongshan. As for the difference between the direct descendants and the inner sect, if you don't talk about anything else, you can see the difference just by looking at Jiao Shaoxin, Yan Chixia, Su Huang, and others becoming immortals one after another. Moreover, even the 3 generations of direct disciples of the Chongshan sect, who have experienced the fierce battles between the Liaozai world and the Wushan sect, have now achieved Yuan-Shen. Even Zhuge Liuyun, who attained enlightenment with the body of an innate spirit, is now on the verge of becoming an immortal. Fu Qingfeng, who was the first to get started and practiced hard, is now at the 10th level of Yuan-Shen. Yang Rong and Gongsun Juniang were slightly inferior to him. The remaining Zhou Qing, Ye Tianyun and others are all around the 6th or 7th level of Yuan-Shen. Compared with them, even Su Yang and Ji Yao, the first named disciples to become Su Junming's disciples, were nothing more than that. Almost everyone in Chongshan Academy knows the benefits of becoming a direct descendant. Unfortunately, the test of the Earth Divine sect is too abnormal. Countless people who think they are geniuses have failed in front of it. For 200 years, almost everyone thought that the test of the divine gate with the word Earth was just a beautiful fantasy, colorful, but could never become a reality. But now, the extremely real reality tells everyone that the test of the Earth Divine sect is not an illusion. It is just that they have insufficient qualifications, bad character, and cannot meet the standards of direct disciples. A green figure instantly appeared above the Daizi Shenman. Seeing the tall figure wearing a green robe, a green gourd hanging from his waist, and holding a bamboo stick, the middle-aged and old woman standing in front of everyone suddenly became excited and hurriedly said respectfully, "Disciple Siwiji, the president of Shijiang Academy of Chongshan Academy, and Yuan Hui, the vice president, pay their respects to the teacher. They are all disciples who entered Chongshan Academy during the Daihuang Mountain Cave Heaven period. They have practiced for nearly 300 years and now have the cultivation level of the primary soul. 10 years ago, I heard Su Junming's sermon at the main campus of Chongyang Academy in the center of Zhongzhou. Therefore, the other party recognized him as soon as he came. He nodded towards the two of them. Get up. Thank you, teacher. It has been more than 100 years since the world of Chongshan was opened. Su Junming will give lectures on the Great Path every 3 years at the main campus of Chongshan Academy in Zhongzhou. All Yuan-Shen monks in the world of Chongshan can come and listen. Because they were not direct disciples of Su Junming, they were all addressed as teacher, which was different from the dean in the mouth of ordinary monks, to show the closeness between the two. Of course, there is also pride in it. With a wave of his hand, the divine gate with the word earth filled with purple energy slowly returned to calm. The two people who passed the test also quickly came to Su Junming, turned over and prostrate. Disciple, see the dean. Get up. Thank you, dean. Both of them were geniuses who entered the upper academy to practice after breaking through the golden elixir. They are all born with Taoism, especially the children, whose talents are particularly outstanding. Although the third divine eye between the eyebrows has not yet opened, it contains a ray of powerful innate wisdom, and the future will be extraordinary. I nodded secretly in my heart. What are your two names? Go back to the dean. My name is Peng Xian, I come from Changjin County, Liaoyang Prefecture, Shijiang County, Zhongzhou. The boy, who was about 13 or 14 years old and wearing a golden crown, answered. Dean, my name is Jin Yun, from Zhongshan Mansion, Shijiang County, Zhongzhou. The 8 or 9-year-old boy replied. She glanced at him and said, Jin Yun? Who are you? Jin Chang'an, the dean of Zhongshan Academy of Chongshan Academy. He's my dad. I see, no wonder they look so similar. Back then, when he traveled around the world of Chongshan, he once met Jin Chang'an in Zhongshan Mansion. This man was considered to be extremely talented, especially in the alchemy path, second only to his third disciple Qiao Shaoxin. He was also kind-hearted and liked him a lot, so he accepted him as a registered disciple and left a copy of his alchemy notes to him. Now 30 years have passed, and the once handsome young man now has a son. With a wave of his sleeves, the two of them were swept up in a violent wave and disappeared in the upper courtyard of Shijiang River in an instant. Everyone looked at the empty Tianling altar, and a look of despair appeared on everyone's face. The world of Chongshan is a world of monks where everyone practices. Even the most ordinary farmers are warriors who practice boxing and kicking all year round. As long as you have some qualifications, you can achieve innate talent in today's dense aura environment. Therefore, Pang Xian's parents are also monks. Su Junming brought their families together. Chang'an, you have raised a good son. Wearing a purple robe and with 3 strands of long beard on his chin, Jin Chang'an, a gentle man, said modestly, Thank you master for the compliment. It is this child's blessing to become a direct descendant of Chongshan. After slightly nodding, if you don't object, I plan to let Jin Yun join the sect of your third senior sister Qiao Shaoxin. You also know her alchemy level and her cultivation is not low. It is the best choice for Jin Yun who has a family background. After Jin Chang'an became a disciple of Su Junming and became a registered disciple, he often consulted Qiao Shaoxin, so he was well aware of the third senior sister's attainments in alchemy. Everything is at the discretion of master. After nodding slightly, he turned to look at the slightly reserved middle-aged man in grey robe beside him. He is Pang Xian's father, a monk in the Golden Core realm. Noticing that the dean was looking towards him, Pang Ming quickly saluted. Disciple, please see the dean, Dean Jinan. You're welcome. After a pause, is Pang Xian your eldest son? Exactly. He has passed the test of the Earth Divine section. If you are willing, he will join my sect and become a direct disciple. I am willing, this is his destiny. Although Pang Ming is not very advanced, he is not stupid. In the world of Chongshan, there are countless people who dream of becoming a direct descendant of Chongshan, and there are many soul-level major cultivators among them. Now that my son has this opportunity, of course he can't miss it. Su Junming nodded and continued, Pang Xian has extraordinary attainments in the art of swordsmanship. My fourth son, Yan Chixia, is the best at this art. Pang Xian should join his section. Everything follows the dean's arrangements, Pang Ming said quickly. You two come forward. Pang Xian and Jin Yun, who were waiting aside, quickly came over. Su Junming flicked his fingers, and a 2-foot 9-inch long sword with golden light and strong yang energy flew into Jin Yun's hand. This heavenly escape sword was acquired by chance. It is a spiritual treasure that fulfills the 12 restraints. I give it to you now. I hope you will practice well in the future and don't let this spiritual sword down. Holding the powerful flying sword in his hand, Pang Xian looked excited. Although he always believed that he would become a Yuanshen monk in the future and possess a Lingbao level flying sword, he never expected that he would have such a powerful sword when he was just a golden elixir. Silly boy, why don't you thank the patriarch quickly? Pang Ming saw his son looking silly and happy, and he was so angry that he wanted to kick him directly. Pang Xian, who came back to his senses, quickly bowed down. Thank you, patriarch. He did not make a mistake in changing his words this time. After nodding slightly and letting him stand up to the side, he turned his eyes, and Jin Yun's longing eyes fell into his eyes. With a faint smile, he stretched out his hand and pointed. An iron shuttle shaped like a pangolin, with scales covering its surface, flew towards Jinyun. This biphosphorus chong is the same as the Sky Escape Sword. It is also a spiritual treasure with 12 perfect spiritual restraints. It can release the yin fire of biphosphorus and melt gold into iron. It also has the ability to escape from the earth and travel thousands of miles in an instant. In addition, the biphosphorus chong has the ability to escape within there is 100 miles of space, which can accommodate people and hold things. It is profound and mysterious, so you should make good use of it. After he added a lot of materials and retrained the biphosphorus rush, it was definitely better than the Black Turtle Hall Yijo's 9 Heavens and 10 Earths demonic god shuttle. Thank you, Patriarch, for the treasure. Jinyun happily took the baby down. Seeing this scene, the two fathers nearby were extremely envious. Especially for Pang Ming, Lingbao was nothing short of legendary to him. Unexpectedly, there are two pieces at the first sight, and they are still 12-level spiritual treasures that have been completed. In the future, with a little practice, they can advance to the top spiritual treasures of immortal weapons. It would be great if I could have one too. Thinking back on it, he also knew that with his qualifications and understanding, he was afraid that there was no hope. I called your two fathers here today. In addition to accepting this treasure as a disciple, there is one more thing I want to explain to you clearly. Teacher, please speak. Dean, disciple, listen to the lesson. I discovered a new world outside the world of Chongshan. The two of them were not surprised by this. It was clearly taught in Chongshan Academy that there is not one world in the void, but countless worlds. Moreover, they were once people from the Liaozai world, but now they have come to the Chongshan world. Having such experience, it is much easier to understand. That new world is called Shu Mountain. It is a middle thousand world spanning 20 million miles. It is rich in spiritual energy and wind, dozens of times that of the world in Chongshan. Therefore, I want to bring Pang Xian and Jinyun with them. Go there to practice, and with their qualifications, it only takes a few seconds to advance to the level of soul. Can you advance to the soul level in just a few seconds? Jin Chang'an and Pang Ming exclaimed. Jin Chang'an's qualifications are much better than Pang Ming's. He has been practicing for 2 decades and is only in the middle stage of nascent soul. Pang Ming could only reach the early stage of the golden elixir in a few years. It is simply unimaginable to advance to the soul level in just 1 year. For a moment, there was a look of intense anticipation in their eyes. Although their qualifications were not as good as their own, they did not dare to think about advancing to the Yuan Shen level. But if you can cross a big realm, it is also a big opportunity. Su Junming looked at their expressions and guessed what they were thinking. The middle thousand world is not a Chongshan world after all. If people who are not from this world enter, a large part of their cultivation will be suppressed. If you want to unblock it, you can only rely on hunting for merit. And the best way to hunt for merit is to kill demons. Monk. But the danger of fighting and killing is huge. Although I have extraordinary cultivation, I can't protect too many people. And if too many people from Chongshan world enter, it can easily be regarded as an invasion. The seal sent down by heaven in Shushan world will only be stronger. Therefore, it will inevitably cause an irreversible situation. Unless you are a direct descendant of Chongshan world, you cannot go to Shushan world. Don't feel disappointed. The aura of Chongshan world now is enough for you to become immortals. As long as you persevere and practice hard, you will achieve extraordinary things one day. If you place your hopes too much on a world rich in spiritual energy, and if this mountain looks as high as that mountain, you won't achieve much in your life. Jin Chang'an had the most understanding and nodded heavily. Disciples remember the teachings of their teachers. Pang Ming's understanding is just average, and so are his qualifications. Although she didn't quite agree with what he said, she nodded helplessly. At least he still has a good son who can have a bright future. After explaining everything, Su Junming took Peng Xian and Jin Yun and returned to the Shushan world through the cross-border teleportation array. The two of them are not very high in cultivation now, and it is easy to unblock their cultivation. This is why Su Junming brought them over as soon as possible. He sent a message asking them to find their respective masters. Su Junming left San's Yahongsu Immortal Mansion. Kaiwan County is an ordinary county on the east side of Taihang Mountain, with a population of only a few thousand. Although it is not in decline, it is not a wealthy place. Outside the dilapidated city gate, a few soap boys sat bored under the shade of the trees. Except for occasionally looking at the official road stretching into the distance, they spent most of the time laughing and chatting. Occasionally, a few dirty jokes even caused laughter. As for the responsibility of guarding the gate, it has long been completely wasted in hundreds of years of peace. Suddenly, two figures, one large and one small, turned out from the corner of the official road, making the dry soap man look over subconsciously. The two men were wearing Taoist robes, and one could tell at a glance that they were monks. The older one is wearing a green Taoist robe, with a green gourd tied around his waist, and holding a green bamboo staff in his right hand. He is tall and has extraordinary equipment. The younger one, about 5 or 6 years old, was wearing a well-tailored navy blue robe, with a bun on his head, a small yellow leather gourd hanging around his waist, and he was also holding a small green bamboo stick. The two men were dressed so similarly, and it was obvious that they had an unusual relationship. "Brother Niu, look. What are you looking at? Aren't they just two Taoist priests? We brothers don't see each other very often these days," a strong man with a beard said with an indifferent expression. "Brother Niu, why did you forget? Didn't the Li family in the west of the city ask us to look for strange people? I think the big one is suitable." "Yes, Brother Niu. One is 2 taels of silver. If you are really capable, give 10 taels. This is money you picked up for free." When the bearded man heard this, his eyes instantly lit up. The Li family in the west of the city is the largest wealthy family in Kaiwan County. The family is rich and charitable, and is praised by everyone in Kaiwan County. However, although the Li family is wealthy, Mr. Li, the direct descendant, has only an only son. However, although this only son was young, he was good at martial arts. Mr. Li has always had children, so naturally he is very precious. Besides, practicing martial arts is not a bad thing, so he asked the gatekeepers to find strange people. And the price is 20 taels of silver, and if you are really capable, you will give 10 taels. Don't underestimate 10 liang, the monthly salary of these yamen servants is only 1, 2, or 3 yuan. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 553. Master, these soap boys seem to be causing trouble. The boy, who was about 5 or 6 years old, spoke. Although the person is immature, his words are very mature. He is Tai Hunyuan Patriarch Chen Lin, who used the innate fundamental qi to cultivate his physical body and restore his body after his soul was taken away by Su Junming. In just 3 years, he had laid a solid foundation and restored his cultivation to the nascent soul realm. Because it was not reincarnation, it was just a body change, so it did not experience a catastrophe. However, it takes time to comprehend the laws of pure Yang Dao and Sword Dao above the Yuan Shen realm. Even with the assistance of the Bronze Mirror Phantom, it will be difficult to succeed in a while. Otherwise, Hunyuan Patriarch Chen Lin would have restored his previous cultivation. In contrast, Su Finiang, the wonderful immortal girl, Yu Qinbin, the Kanglang swordsman, and Lin Yuan, the Taoist priest of Suandu, who were also used by Su Junming to create the fundamental energy of creation and condense the innate body, also laid the foundation in the palace treasure tree. Glancing at the city gate in the distance, Su Junming shook his head slightly. It's okay, don't say much. Yes. After walking hundreds of steps. Stop. With a loud shout, 6 or 7 government officials came forward and blocked the access to the city gate. Before they could speak, they felt an irresistible surge of force. He staggered back involuntarily. A look of horror instantly appeared on several people's faces. Seeing the two Taoists, one large and one small, walking by without paying any attention to them, several people subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. "Brother Niu, I'm so happy." A skinny monkey like Zayading suddenly said. "Shit, I almost pissed myself with fear." The bearded soap boy said angrily. When he first became a monk, one of his companions collided with a capable monk. He was instantly possessed by the monk and died violently. That moment just reminded him of the past, and with fear in his heart, his mind went blank. "Have you forgotten? The Li family." As soon as he reminded him, Bearded Beard suddenly remembered. 10 taels of silver. His mind suddenly became active, and he kicked the thin monkey on the butt. "If you know it, hurry up and stop them." Xiao Hao was not a fool. Of course he knew that this job was dangerous, but looking at his boss's face, he knew he had to go. "Brother Niu, when you divide the money, you have to give me more." Don't worry, go quickly." The bearded man waved his hand impatiently. The thin monkey gritted his teeth and chased after Su Junming and his disciples. He shouted from afar, "Taoist master, please stay." He carefully ran in front of Master Su Junming and his disciples, and bowed to the bottom. Seeing that there was no anger on Su Junming's face, he quickly said, "Taoist master, my name is Ho Cheng, and I am the Zaoban Yaman of Kaiwan County. Mr. Li, the good man of our county, is good at martial arts and Taoism, and he especially likes to make friends with strange people. The Taoist priest has extraordinary abilities. If you come to your door, you will not only receive excellent hospitality, but you will also be given some silver when you leave." Su Junming stretched out his hand. "The Li family you mentioned lives there." Looking in the direction of his finger, a tall tower came into view in the southwest. Ho Chen nodded quickly. "That tower is where the Li family worships their ancestors. It's called the Returning Home Tower." "Returning Tower? That's interesting. Let's go." Ho Chen didn't react for a moment. Fortunately, he was quite clever and said with surprise on his face, "Taoist master, have you agreed? Since Mr. Li is good at martial arts, I will naturally have to spend some time there." What the Taoist master said is true. After saying that, he waved to the bearded man in the distance. The latter's face showed joy, and he ran over quickly and said respectfully, "Taoist master, I am the leader of the Zhao class in this county. I still have a few familiar friends with Mr. Li. I will definitely be able to help the Taoist master by then. Saves a lot of trouble." Su Junming smiled faintly and walked forward. He also heard what these people said just now. Seeing that although they were greedy, they didn't have many wrongdoings on them, so it was easy for them to make a fortune on their own. Niu Xian breathed a sigh of relief, patted Ho Cheng on the shoulder, and the two of them quickly followed. Under their leadership, several people soon arrived outside a gorgeous manor. Tall courtyard walls, thick green tiles, and 2 red pillars that can be embraced by one person support the double-layered courtyard gate at the 4 corners. The 2 doors have bronze rivets forward, the golden lion swallows its head, and the vermilion door is open. On both sides, there are 2 powerful servants on duty. Su Junming stopped and stretched out his bamboo stick. The unprepared Niu Xian crashed into him instantly. However, the bamboo stick, which was no more than the thickness of an adult's finger, was like a high wall, blocking him directly. I was shocked, but I didn't dare to get angry. When I was about to ask, I noticed that the Taoist next to me was looking at the Li family gate 20 or 30 meters away. At this moment, a middle-aged man wearing a silk robe and a square hat, with a rich wife, walked out of the courtyard door. Behind him was a tall, solemn old man with long hands and bulging temples. Walking out at the same time as the two of them, there were also young men, one tall and one short, who were mostly warriors in short attire, swords in hand and swords in hand. The rich old man waved, and a boy carrying a tray hurried over. The old man uncovered the red cloth on the tray, revealing 2 tails of silver underneath. Looking at the head, there must be 10 tails. 2 knights, this is a little thought from the old man. It's not respectful, so please accept it. The faces of the fat and thin young people showed joy, and they didn't even shirk. After taking it and saying thank you, they left happily. Looking at their backs, the tall old man frowned. Master, these two are just charlatans who are proficient in fists and feet. Together they can't stand a slap from me, so why give them silver coins? It is better to dissolve enemies than to make enemies. And although these two people are cunning, they are not heinous people. They should just do a charity. The master of the house really has a bodhisattva heart. However, if things continue like this for a long time, those scumbags will probably come and cause trouble if they get the news. In broad daylight, the world is bright. With experts like you, Lao Yuan, guarding my Li family, it's hard for those little ones to survive. After smiling and patting the old man on the shoulder, the wealthy middle-aged man walked towards the courtyard. Looking at his back, the old man sighed and followed him. Master, Mr. Li is indeed a good man. But he has a dark face. I'm afraid he will suffer a bloody disaster in the future. Chen Lin said. Taoist monks can do a little bit of fortune telling, but it's just a matter of their level. Based on Chen Lin's cultivation in the Yuan Shen realm, although his physiognomy level is not as good as that of people like Su Junming who are proficient in the art of destiny, it is far superior to most monks. What's more, the wealthy middle-aged man is just an ordinary person, so it is easier to calculate. Of course, it's just a face-to-face encounter. It's impossible to deduce the future. The secret of the Shushan world has long been disrupted by Su Junming's use of the divine ball. Unless one's cultivation in destiny is higher than his, or his cultivation is much higher than his, it will be difficult to break the blockade. Taoist priest, do you think we? After Su Junming took back the bamboo stick, Niu Xian asked carefully with a flattering look on his face. Now that I'm here, of course I have to go in and take a look. Haha, okay. I'll go and report to the Taoist master. After saying that, Niu Xian picked up the embroidered spring knife at his waist and walked straight towards the door of Li's house with his head held high. He cupped his fists at the servants guarding the gate. I would like to inform you that the Yamen Zaoban has caught a cow and brought a Taoist priest to see Mr. Li. A sturdy servant holding an eyebrow-level stick glanced at Su Junming and nodded. Wait a minute, I'll go in and report. Excuse me. Yesterday, the child was so noisy that I only slept for 3 hours at night. During the day, I went to see my mother-in-law off and drove 200 kilometers. At night, my head felt like lead, and I really couldn't write anymore. Please forgive me. It's so hard to be a dad. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 554. Chapter 543, Merit and Goldji. Chen Lin glanced at Li Mansion. In the eyes of outsiders, it was just a wealthy mansion, but in the eyes of those who knew how to look at it, it was different. A large area of pale yellow mist covered 3 feet, like a ganodermalucidum, standing above Li Mansion. 100,000 merits condensed into a black and yellow ruler. It takes millions of merits to condense into a golden flower. It takes 5 million merits to get 1 ganodermalucidum. Although human merit is easy to obtain, it is extremely difficult to accumulate so much merit. Unless Fen Tuo, Bai Mei, and Li Jingxiu are Qi practitioners who have practiced for hundreds of years, otherwise, ordinary people will have to accumulate it over many lifetimes. Only then can one achieve the Tao. It was this extraordinary golden Ji that attracted him and his master to this ordinary county town. As for why Su Junming came, of course he came here to recruit disciples. In the last world, it was precisely because he accepted Jiao Shaoxin, a man of profound merit, as his disciple that his cultivation level was almost instantly unlocked. Therefore, he plans to repeat his old tricks in this world. Of course, if your character is not good, forget it. There are many ways to obtain merit, and becoming a disciple is just one of them. The servant who went in to report quickly came out. "Master, please come in." Niu Xian responded happily and quickly ran over to report. "Taoist master, Mr. Li has agreed, I will take you in." Su Junming smiled and nodded, then climbed up the steps. As soon as they entered the door, Niu Xian and Ho Cheng who were following him were stopped by the servants. "Two of you, please go to the side hall to rest first." Although Niu Xian is considered a minor official in the Yamen and has some power, he certainly does not dare to offend the Li family master who respects him even more than the county magistrate. Although he was a little dissatisfied, he still agreed obediently. "Taoist master, please come with me." A young man in a blue robe led Su Junming around the screen wall, through a hanging flower door, and along the hand-painted corridor to the left courtyard. As soon as he came in, he saw a tall, majestic-looking old man with his hands above his knees that he had met before. As for the wealthy middle-aged man, he didn't see it. When Su Junming looked over, Yuan Chendao was also examining him. The clothes are just that, there is nothing surprising about them. His appearance was not outstanding, but his eyes were as deep as an abyss, as if they could suck people's gaze into them. Yuan Chendao also traveled all over the country in his early years and was a knowledgeable person. Later, he was greatly favored by the old lady of the Li family and stayed here as a guard. He instinctively felt that this young Taoist was extraordinary. This is an instinct that comes from many years of traveling in the world. In addition to the Taoist, the boy on his left was dressed similarly and was about 6 or 7 years old. Although he looked ordinary, his face was as white as jade, as if exuding a faint aura, and his eyes were majestic. If he only looked at his eyes, it would almost give Yuan Chendao the illusion of being an adult. These two people, one big and one small, are probably extraordinary, Yuan Chendao thought to himself. These days, taking advantage of the opportunity of the Li family to recruit martial arts masters for the young master, he only knows a few tricks of the three-legged cat skills, and there are too many people coming to show off and deceive him, which annoys him. So when I heard the report from the concierge, I didn't notify the owner, but planned to check the quality of the other party myself first. If there is really a good method, it will not be too late to introduce it to the master. Yuan Chendao has met the Taoist priest. Su Junming glanced at his calloused, generous palms. He was obviously a warrior with excellent palm skills. Moreover, his cultivation level is as good as innate, and in the eyes of ordinary people, he is considered a good player. After Su Junming bowed his head, he said, "Su Junming, a poor fellow, would like to pay a visit to the master of this place. I would venture to ask, is the Taoist priest also here to take the young master's martial arts exam?" "Yes and no." Yuan Chendao frowned slightly, "I wonder what it means." "If you want to become my disciple, you must have the qualifications of 1 in a million, the understanding of 1 in 100,000, and the mind of 1 in a million. It is still unclear whether your young master can become a disciple of Pandao. Ever since he understood the Tao of creation in the immortal realm and had the creation spirit pool at the level of an innate spiritual treasure, the disciple's qualifications were no longer something he valued. As long as he is willing, he can easily refine a physical body at the level of the innate Tao body. But the qualifications are easy to say, but the character and understanding cannot be improved quickly. Especially the latter, things in heaven and earth that can enhance understanding. Have. Similar to the bronze mirror in his dantian. But so far, he has been practicing Taoism, and the only thing that can improve his understanding is the bronze mirror. Therefore, mind and understanding are the things he values most. Especially the former is particularly important. After all, if your understanding is poor, you can still use a bronze mirror to make up for it, and there are also some legendary treasures of heaven and earth that can improve your understanding. But he will never accept those with bad character. After all, he didn't want the disciples he had spent countless efforts to train to become treacherous disciples in the future. In addition, the character of mind here also includes perseverance. Without the perseverance to pursue the road, no matter how good your qualifications and understanding are, your achievements will be limited in the future. Seeing the conclusive look of the Taoist in front of him, Yuanchindao felt disdainful, thinking that he just wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to raise his own worth. He had been in the world for many years, and he had seen many such dramas. Chen Lin, who was standing next to him, saw the change in his expression and couldn't help but said, "What do you, a junior, know? There are countless people in the spiritual world who want to join my master, but they have all been rejected by him. If it weren't for your master Guanju merit, my master will never come over." He clearly had the appearance of a boy, but his old-fashioned words and contradictory expression made Yuanchindao at a loss what to say. Su Junming shook his head slightly, not wanting to waste any more time. "Let's go." After that, he walked around Yuanchindao and walked towards the back room. Chen Lin nodded and followed. Yuanchindao was angry in his heart, and just about to catch up, he suddenly found that his whole body tightened, and his hands and feet seemed to be tied up in an instant, and he could not move his whole body. I was so shocked that I just wanted to shout, but I couldn't make any sound. When the surrounding servants saw this scene, they were so impressed by his majesty that they did not dare to come over. Su Junming's consciousness swept through and found the rich middle-aged man Xian Tian. He took Chen Lin out of the left courtyard and came to the study in the middle courtyard. Along the way, the guards who wanted to stop him were blocked by Su Junming. Dang dang! The bamboo stick hits the floor, the sound is crisp and strong. Li Shizong, who was studying in the study room, looked up in surprise. Soon, a tall Taoist priest wearing a green robe, holding a bamboo staff and a green gourd hanging from his waist turned in from the door. Next to him was a little Taoist boy, about 6 or 7 years old, dressed similarly. Su Junming, a poor Taoist, has met a layman. As the head of the Li family, Li Shizong was obviously no fool. Seeing that the other party came to his study silently and saw him, he knew that he was not an ordinary person. He quickly put down his book and cupped his fists in ceremony. "I'll get off again, Li Shizong, and I've met Taoist Su. Please sit down." "Thank you, layman." "Somebody come." The maid next to her quickly stepped forward. "Go bring tea." "Yes, sir." After the maid goes down. "I don't know where Changxian Township is. Why are you here at my Li's house?" Pandeo travels all over the world with his disciples. The whole world is my home. As for why you are here? Haha, I heard that layman Li wanted to recruit martial arts masters for the young master. Pandeo happened to be here, so he came to take a look. I see. Li Shizong nodded slightly and said, "To be honest with you, Taoist master, there are quite a few people who have come to my door in the past few days to teach Kwanzaa martial arts, but they all failed to meet my requirements. If Taoist master wants to apply, he still needs to take a test or two." After stopping Chen Lin who wanted to speak, "I wonder how Master Li wants to test him. There is a guard named Yuan under my section. He is very strong in martial arts and is especially good at boxing and kicking. It would be great if the Taoist master can defeat him." Su Junming waved, and a gray stream of light flew from outside the door. When he came closer, Yuanqindao's figure appeared. Is this him the layman is talking about? At this time, Li Shizong was stunned by his miraculous scene. Hearing his question, I felt a sudden thought in my heart. I came back to my senses instantly, stood up quickly, and bowed in salute. The Taoist master is indeed a Taoist master. Li Shizong admires him. Su Junming smiled faintly and flicked his fingers, and the seal on Yuanqindao was immediately released. After experiencing the previous scene, Yuanqindao knew in his heart that he had really met those legendary cultivators this time. I hope the immortal will not blame Yuanqindao for his previous offense. After waving to him, Su Junming turned his head and said, Jushi Li, can you invite the young master over? Li Shizong, who had also heard some legends about immortals on weekdays, nodded quickly. Lao Yuan, please go and bring Ning Er. Yuanqindao nodded and walked out quickly. Not long after, a boy of about 8 or 9 years old, wearing a navy blue shorts and a thin face, walked in. After looking at Su Junming, the boy walked up to Li Shizong and said respectfully, my child has met his father. Looking at his son, Li Shizong showed satisfaction on his face. Ning Er, come and see Taoist Su. The boy nodded, walked up to Su Junming, clasped his fists and saluted, like a little adult. Meet Taoist Su. After Su Junming examined it for a moment, he smiled and nodded. It's indeed a good qualification. Although this child is not an innate Taoist body, he still has superior qualifications. Moreover, his eyes were pure and clear, his descriptions were solemn, and he clearly had a good heart. As for the understanding, it is not clear yet. More importantly, he saw that most of the merits of the Li family came from this child, and most of the 5 million good deeds should be attributed to him. May I have your name? Su Junming asked subconsciously. Reply to the Taoist priest, my name is Li Ning. My heart was stunned. Li Ning? It can't be such a coincidence, right? When I just activated the bronze mirror, I saw 3 relics sealed deep in the child's sea of consciousness. Relics are something that can only be born when Buddhists practice to the golden elixir level, similar to the golden elixir of Taoist monks. However, compared to the Taoist monks who advance to the nascent soul through the golden pill, the nascent soul transforms into the Yuan Shen. Buddhism is all relics from beginning to end. It's just that in different realms, the color of the relics will be slightly different. For example, the golden elixir realm is only light golden. The nascent soul realm will emit gold and red colors. In the realm of Yuan Shen, it will emit 3 colors of gold, red, and purple. Now, the 3 relics in Li Ning's sea of consciousness are flashing with 3 color auras, and they are obviously relics equivalent to the realm of the soul. The presence of relics means that Li Ning was a Buddhist sage in the realm of Yuan Shen in his previous life. And looking at the 3 relic beads that are round and round, it is obvious that they have reached the peak of the soul realm. In addition, each relic flashes with different divine patterns, which is a symbol of a skill that has reached its peak. As long as you survive the catastrophe, you will achieve the fruit of Buddhism and Arhat. These 3 relics can derive the 3 great Buddhist magical powers. As his spiritual consciousness immersed, the eclipse on the relic on the left swam, and soon turned into a giant palm holding up the sky, followed by a Vajra conquering demon conquering power that spread into Su Junming's heart. Vajra giant spirit palm. 2 strange lights, one gold and one white, emanate from the relic in the middle. The former is thick and powerful and has the ability to protect the body, the latter is extremely sharp and has the power to eliminate demons and protect the Tao. Big and small sandalwood divine light. The last relic was gleaming with flames, exuding endless heat, as if it could explode with the power of burning mountains and boiling seas with just a slight push. Polo divine flame. After briefly understanding the etched inscriptions on the 3 relics, Su Junming instantly confirmed his guess. Sure enough, it's him, the boss of Kilo 3 heroes, Thong-armed divine ape Li Ning. Li Ning's daughter is Li Yingxiang, the famous Ime 3 Heroes and 2 Clouds, the #1 protagonist in the entire Shushan world. And Li Ning himself is a disciple of the Buddhist monk Beimei in Shushan. After being crossed by Beimei at Ningbai Cliff in Mount Ime, he quickly remembered his past. In just a few years, his cultivation skyrocketed and he became a monk who could compete with Xieshan and the 9 friends of Kunlun. A big boss compared to the 7 immortals of Luofu. Taoist priest. Seeing that he didn't speak, Li Ning felt uneasy and shouted tentatively. He woke up from his memories and looked at the curious little guy in front of him. Are you willing to become your teacher? I wonder what Chang can teach me, Li Ning asked in a respectful tone. Su Junming smiled lightly. I can teach you flying swords, jumping pills, spitting water and fire, entering and exiting the Qingming, transforming and communicating with gods, etc., so that you can fly to the sky in the future and become an immortal and an ancestor. Li Ning's eyes sparkled. Can an immortal live forever? The lifespan of a heavenly immortal is 9,000, the lifespan of a true immortal is 30,000, the lifespan of a mysterious immortal is 58,000, and the lifespan of a golden immortal is 90,000. If this is immortality, then it is immortality. Li Ning was limited to the mystery in his womb and could not distinguish the level of immortality. But this doesn't stop him from dreaming. If this is the case, I will pay my respects to my mentor. Just as he was about to bow his head, he was stopped by Su Junming. Looking at his surprised eyes, don't rush to become a disciple now. There are some things I need to explain to you clearly in advance. My lineage belongs to Taoist Taoism. They do not worship the 3 pure ones and 4 imperial guards. They pay attention to the natural way of heaven and the origin of all laws. Except for the ancestors of our sect, I only worship the word Tao. If you join my sect, you should do the same. In addition, you were an eminent Buddhist monk in your previous life and had profound cultivation. If you can practice the Buddhist method, you may be able to achieve Buddhism in 100 years. By then, thousands of practitioners in the world will aspire to ascend to the Western paradise and live 9,000 years. If you give up the Buddhist methods and practice my Taoist method, you will have to practice hard for 500 years before you can achieve anything. I have made it clear to you that there are 2 paths, one difficult and one easy. It is up to you to decide whether you want to join my sect or not. Li asked boldly, did you know that marriage is prohibited under the Changmen? Li Shizong said quickly. Su Junming shook his head. In our Taoist school, there is also a precedent of Lu Fan joining the family, Ge Bao practicing double cultivation, and the couple cultivating the Tao together and ascending to heaven together. Therefore, as long as the 2 people are in love, marriage is not prohibited under my section. Li Shizong's face showed joy. He knew very well that Buddhism definitely prohibited marriage. Therefore, he was determined not to let his son become a Buddhist, which would ruin the incense of his Li family. Ning will get rid of the Taoist priest from now on. After waving to him, he still needs to decide this matter himself. Li Shizong turned around with a swish and said in a stern voice, Ning, my father has seen Taoist master's ability. If you don't hurry up and become a disciple, when will you wait? Li Ning was a filial person and nodded after hearing this. The disciple decided to join his mentor. Have you really decided? Decided. No regrets. I will never regret it. Li Ning looked determined. In that case, I will accept you as my disciple. However, I have 2 types of disciples, direct disciples and inner disciples. I will teach you for a few years first. When you grow up and have a stable mind, and can pass my test, you can truly include it in the door wall. I wonder what kind of test it is, Li Ning asked curiously. It's too early now, you'll know then. After hearing what he said, Li Ning wisely did not ask any more questions. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 555. Come here. Li Ning didn't know why, but he still walked to Su Junming's side obediently. He raised his right hand and covered the top of his head. Actuating the space talisman, a powerful but tame space spiritual power burst out. A small space door appeared in the depths of Li Ning's sea of consciousness. In an instant, he swallowed 3 relics. All right. Su Junming withdrew his palm. Li Ning nodded, feeling a little disappointed in his heart for no reason. It's just that he himself doesn't know why he is like this. At the same time, millions of miles away, deep in Imei, in a stunningly beautiful deep stream, there grew a tree that was more than 10 feet tall and looked like a blue cloud. There are 2 large eagles standing under the canopy of the big tree. These 2 eagles, one black and one white, are both nearly 10 feet long, with golden eyes and sharp claws, and iron beaks shining with cold light. They are extremely handsome. 6 or 7 feet above the 2 sculptures, there is a large branch that can be hugged by 5 or 6 people. An old monk wearing old monk clothes, with an old face and a solemn appearance was preaching the Dharma with his eyes closed. There was nothing strange about the old monk, except for his 2 white eyebrows that almost reached his cheekbones, which were particularly eye-catching. Suddenly the mysterious sound stopped, and the old monk slowly opened his eyes, with clear black and white eyes, like a newborn baby. The black and white eagles below also opened their eyes. "Ga!" The black eagle chirped, as if asking. "That's all for today, you can go down first." After the 2 large eagles nodded humanely, they flapped their wings, and the surrounding wind energy suddenly surged, like 2 black and white clouds, rising into the sky in an instant. The old monk frowned. Just now, his spiritual body suddenly became dim, as if something important had been lost. With his current cultivation level, he has already reached the level of divine understanding. Since there has been a change in the spiritual platform, something related to him must have happened. Picking up a string of holding beads in his hand, mysterious spiritual light spread out bit by bit. After a while, the old monk frowned even deeper. The secret is still extremely confusing and nothing has been figured out. Well. A long sigh sounded. Who on earth has such high attainments in the art of heavenly secrets? This is the case with Taoism, especially destiny. If you are not as good as others, you can never break the blockade of others. Back at Li's house, 3 days have passed since Li Ning became a disciple. Now he is only a registered disciple. Although he is a registered disciple, Su Junming has never been stingy in his skills. Chen Lin was asked to pass on to him the Daoist that was rooted in the Chongshan lineage. Wow! A mysterious sound like a sea wave sounded from Su Junming's body. There are 3 feet of clouds above the head, and the spiritual light is blooming. Around, shiny Taoist fruit, with flowing brilliance and thousands of auspicious colors. There are 3 divine gates, a 3-legged cauldron, a milky white jade basin, a 4-color sword box, a ball similar to an armillary sphere, and a large green drum. The 8 immortal weapons floated up and down in the King Yun, rotating around the Dao fruit. After a long time, the Dao fruit sank into King Yun, which wrapped 8 immortal weapons and Dao fruit and sank into the sea of consciousness. After Su Junming took a breath, he slowly opened his eyes, with a trace of regret on his face. Originally, he thought that after accepting Li Ning as his disciple, he could use his huge merits to restore his cultivation level, but now it seems that he is still a little short of the mark. But at least it has returned to the middle stage of heavenly immortality, which is considered a blessing. With a thought in his heart, the celestial elephant gate rushed out from the top door, the azure stone door opened, and a simple octagonal palace lantern flew out. The light blue fire seemed weak, but it illuminated the surrounding space of 100 feet. This is a mid-level immortal weapon that he made by using Qianqi's natal innate yin fire, a Tushita purple flame, the 10,000-year-old yin bone of the heavenly demon's blood-transforming divine sword, and the eternal divine oil in the Xianyuan holy tomb. It contains the mystery of the 2 innate rituals, which coincides with the yin and yang, and is called the two ritual green lanterns. It took me so long, but I finally got it done. During this period, using the materials in hand, he made a total of 3 spiritual lanterns. A Tushita purple lamp. It was made by combining 2 Tushita spiritual fires, the eternal oil and the large urn carrying the oil, and passed it on to Chiao Shaoxin. A golden lamp of Qianling. It was refined with 2 dry heavenly fires, eternal oil, and a large urn from the Huangdi Mausoleum in Xianyuan, and I still have it in my hand. The last Lianji Qinglan has just been refined. After playing with it for a while, he put it away. He glanced at the creation spirit pond. The central spiritual island is covered with clouds and fog, and the sky is filled with fairy light. Although the surrounding pool water is milky white in color, it is crystal clear and contains endless inspiration for creation. On the water of the pond, 9 white lotuses that were once white have now transformed into light blue-green lotuses. Nurtured by the creation spirit pond, and the opportunity of the original opening of the Chongshan world, they have receded from their mortal nature and been promoted to immortal species. The 3 golden lotuses next to them have not advanced, but their foundations are deeper. Surrounded by green lotus and golden lotus, a black and white lotus flower bloomed particularly delicately. This double lotus is the Albizia julibrissin that impregnated Lu Rongbo. This is a kind of fairy seed that contains the yin and yang of creation. When Su Junming came to the world of Shushan in the early Ming dynasty, he asked Lu Rongbo about the location of her conception and transplanted this spiritual flower into his own creation spirit pool. Surrounded by blossoming lotus flowers, a 3-foot-tall sacred stone with 9 orifices rises and falls, as if ordinary people are breathing, sucking in the spiritual energy around it. Shushan world is a Zhongqian world, and its aura concentration far exceeds that of Su Junming's Chongshan world. Under the nourishment of the rich spiritual energy, the spirituality in the creation spirit pond became more and more intense. Not only did the growth rate of the immortal species and spiritual roots turn out to be faster, but the birth rate of the creation spirit fetus was also much faster. However, there is still a long way to go before the thief-devouring soul Dharmakaya is born. After taking a glance at the grand scene of the creation spirit pond, Su Junming turned around and left Chongshan residence. Put away the palace treasure tree, remove the seal on the room, open the door and go out. In the yard, Chen Lin was supervising Li Ning's practice of Dao boxing. Junior brother, your practice of the Fi Yan nods move is a bit poor. Yan moves very lightly, and his movements must be fast, like this. Chen Lin demonstrated a few times. Li Ning had a look of surprise on his face. He already had a high level of understanding, so Chen Lin only gave him some pointers once or twice before he remembered them. Thank you, senior brother. Well, come and practice a few times. Li Ning nodded and was about to start when they heard footsteps coming from behind. Seeing Su Junming, he quickly stepped forward and bowed to salute. Disciple pays homage to master. Ning-er, how are you doing with your Dao boxing training? Su Junming asked after nodding. Disciple is stupid and has never been able to understand it. Li Ning had a look of shame on his face. Haha, this Dao boxing is a fundamental boxing method created by Master Wei based on the strengths of hundreds of schools. It is also the best in the entire practice world. If you try to master it as soon as you learn it, it will not be called first rate. He patted his shoulder and said, learn from your senior brother. As long as you practice hard and don't fall, you will one day achieve immortality. Disciple, obey. Okay, let's go back and eat. That's all for today. Li Ning nodded, said goodbye to his master and brother, and ran towards the inner courtyard of the Li family. Looking at his back, Chen Lin said, Junior brother Li's qualifications and understanding are extremely extraordinary, and what's more, he has excellent mental and perseverance. He is indeed a good talent in the immortal world. Whether he can end up being listed on the door wall like you and others depends on himself. Follow me. Taking him back to the living room, Su Junming waved his hand and locked the entire room. He opened his left palm, and two flying swords with cold light appeared in his palm. It was the former demon-killing immortal sword and the 5-poison immortal sword. When he rescued Chen Lin's soul, he also took away these two swords, Tai Wan Luo and Tai Suan Zenza left behind. Be invisible sword. I have helped you remove the evil spirit from the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword. The remaining materials, combined with a portion of Yuan Yang fine gold, were used to make this Suan Du sword. I have retrained the 5-poison immortal sword, and its power has increased by 30%. Although Su Junming doesn't use poison, he is proficient in the way of alchemy, so he is not afraid of his disciples using similar spiritual treasures. But the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword is different. The devil's path is the path of desire. Even if one's concentration is profound, there is a saying that goes well, how can one walk along the river without getting his shoes wet? If you deal with the devil a lot, you will inevitably be tempted by it. Moreover, if the heavenly demon-killing immortal sword wants to be promoted, it must be fed with enough Yinhun evil energy, which means it must kill more people. Those who kill excessively are most likely to be haunted by the evil spirit of ghosts. They are simply the perfect spiritual fetus for the devil to seize the body. Although Chen Lin has extraordinary perseverance and profound determination, he is not willing to let the other party take such a path again. Moreover, it's not like he doesn't have other better ways to become an immortal. There is no need to sacrifice the basics and pursue the weak. Take it. With a wave of his hand, two swords flew towards Chen Lin. As for the Tai 5 Yan Luo, it had already been returned to him before. Su Junming has not fully understood the Tai invisible sword received from Xianzhenzi, so he keeps it in his hands for the time being. Master, you have given your disciple the Chiun Taoist robe, the golden snake ring, and the Sanyang Yuki sword. In addition to the Tai 5 Yan Luo, the disciple already has enough treasures to protect himself and protect himself. It is better to ask Master for these two swords. Take it back and give it to other disciples. Su Junming smiled faintly, these two swords are not for you. The 5-poison immortal sword is for Su Finiang, and the Suan Du sword is for Lin Yuan. With a flick of his right hand, a pale golden flying sword slowly flew in front of Chen Lin. Give this pure yang sword to Yu Qinbin. The three swords are made of extraordinary materials. After my training, they all have the capital to be promoted to immortal weapons. In order to avenge you, people will not hesitate to kill themselves. As a master, you must show something. Disciple understands, thank you master. Chen Lin respectfully took the three swords and put them away. How many more Kiwang pills are there for you? 9 more. With a flick of his finger, a porcelain bottle flew towards Chen Lin. There are 72 Kiwang pills in it. Take 1 pill every 30 days, which is enough for you to break through the soul. Thank you master. Since you have the courage to abandon everything and start over again, I will naturally reward you as a teacher. Before he finished speaking, Su Junming frowned slightly and looked up to the west. Chen Lin's cultivation level has not recovered. Now he only has nascent soul cultivation level. Coupled with the seal in the room, he did not notice any abnormality. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 556. Master, what's wrong? There is a fight. Let's go over and have a look. The master and the apprentice activated the escape light and were in mid-air in an instant. Looking into the distance, hundreds of miles away, the strong wind, thunder, and fire shook the mid-air, and the sword auras shook hundreds of miles away. Sure enough, someone is fighting. Su Junming activated the Hushan talisman, and a tough space barrier instantly covered the two of them. He urged the Hushan god to perform his magic, and he traveled hundreds of miles in an instant. Soon, a small temple on the top of the mountain appeared in front of him. The words Kaiwan Temple can be vaguely seen above the temple door. Thousands of feet above this temple, 6 or 7 male and female monks were fighting around a young woman wearing a lavender dress, with a pretty face and a sinister expression. Is her? Chen Lin said in surprise. You know. This girl's name is Ling Suihong. She is the sister of Hua Linghun, one of the 2 elders of Songshan Mountain. She is the wife of Bai Gai, one of the 2 elders of Songshan Mountain. Her master was the one who lost to him during the fight in Biang Mountain. God Nfantra. Su Junming nodded slightly. No wonder she can use Fenchuo's Vajra Heavenly Dragon Zen technique, but her level is indeed far behind her master. Although the golden dragon surrounding Ling Suihong looked decent, it was just superficial and far less powerful than Fenchuo. However, it is understandable that Fenchuo's cultivation level is close to the level of a true immortal. And Ling Suihong is only in the middle stage of Yuan Shen. He can activate 3 golden dragons to protect himself and fight, which is already very good. Where are these people? The one with the golden arm is called the Golden Arm Walker Huchia, the one with the long, thin face in black robe is the traitor Bai Shiu from Bai Gai's sect, who is chasing Yun Su. The one holding the black flag is Wang Guzi, the soul enchanting god. The one surrounded by the skull is Li Yuchen, the elder of the naked section. The name of the fire-eyed zombie is Chen Zhang, and I don't know the other 2 either. However, Ling Suihong is known as the Rakshasa fairy in the spiritual world. Since her debut, hundreds of demons and demons have died in her hands, and even many casual cultivators. Although it is called the righteous path, its hands are full of blood and it has provoked countless enemies. This time she has encountered a great disaster. There was no gloating in Chen Lin's tone. Since he got rid of his identity as the leader of Wu Tai and started to practice Taoism again, he is now devoted to practicing Taoism and does not want to cause any more grudges. Glancing at him, Su Junming looked at Ling Suihong who was struggling to resist in the distance, his eyes flashing slightly. Anyone who has watched Shushan will be familiar with the plot of Ling Suihong and her reincarnation as Yang Jin after she passed away in Kaiwan Temple. Of course the same goes for Su Junming. It's just that he didn't expect that he would encounter this scene. There was a loud bang, and Hu Jiayang, the golden-armed walker, held his hand, and the golden arm turned into a yellow cloud that was dozens of acres in size. A giant palm flew up from the cloud and struck directly towards Ling Suihong. Not to be outdone, the rest of the people shook their magic weapons one after another and struck Ling Suihong together. The latter curled his fingers into a sword, a golden sword light, a yellow gun, and a pair of scissors with a sharp aura flying around. Together with the 3 golden dragons beside him, he blocked the Taoist spells flying from all directions. In an instant, thunder, fire, and the roar of ghost demons exploded in the air. When the scattered spiritual energy calmed down slightly, one could clearly see Ling Suihong's pale face and the faintly bloody corners of his mouth. Obviously, although she blocked the enemy's spell, her inner abdomen was also injured. Haha, Ling Biozi, you chased me for 1,000,000 miles and even used the Tian longsword to cut off 3 of my ribs and 1 arm. If it weren't for the help of my fellow Taoist Bai Shiu, I would have almost been killed by you. Today, I will let you taste the feeling of despair. Hujia's words were full of hatred. For 30 years, his life-threatening revenge had kept him sleepless, and all he could think about day and night was revenge. So when Bai Shiu came to his door and made an appointment to deal with Ling Suihong, he agreed without even thinking twice. Fellow Taoist Hu, this is wrong. Fairy Ling is such a handsome and wonderful person. Wouldn't it be a pity to kill him with 1 sword? In my opinion, it is better to send him to our yin-yang sect to participate in the dual cultivation path. I guarantee that Fairy Ling will understand it when the time comes. What is the ultimate happiness on earth? Fellow Taoist Jian, our naked sect also needs good talents like Fairy Ling. You are looking for death. Ling Suihong, who spoke in an obscene tone, was furious, and the heavenly dragon sword and the protector heavenly dragon rushed around like crazy. Seeing this scene, Su Junming shook his head slightly. This woman's temper is too hot. Although Ling Suihong's rich fighting experience has not caused any flaws in the connection of his moves for a long time. But being easily provoked by Wu Ming can easily be taken advantage of by a method that directly attacks the soul. Su Junming had just finished his thoughts when a middle-aged man with a slim face wearing a grey robe and holding a bone sword on the left side of Ling Suihong suddenly rang the bone bell on his waist. In an instant, a strange bell swept towards Ling Suihong. The latter's eyes instantly dimmed, and his figure was shaky. She can't survive. Hu Jia was overjoyed and rushed forward. Fellow Taoist Hu, wait a minute. The middle-aged man with a bone clock hanging from his waist shouted quickly. Hu Jia was stunned and just about to ask, a bright sword light suddenly struck him like lightning. The speed is so fast, it's like changing places. Hu Jia was shocked and subconsciously moved his golden arm to block it. With a choking sound, a sword mark was deeply embedded in the golden arm. Seeing this scene, Hu Jia felt sorry for the damage to her baby and was furious. You bitch, how dare you plot against me? A golden talisman rose from Ling Suihong's top door, casting down rays of spiritual light, protecting her in the middle. You're just stupid. Although he was sarcastic, Ling Suihong felt a little regretful in his heart. If Hu Jia had rushed closer just now, he would have been able to easily eliminate this enemy. By then, the pressure she faced would be much less. Among all the people, his golden spirit arm was the most mysterious and powerful, and the most feared by Ling Suihong. You wanna die? Hu Jia was furious in an instant, and activated his golden spirit arm to turn into a yellow cloud wave, a huge hand measuring more than 10 acres, and shot it down towards Ling Suihong. As a veteran who has been in the spiritual world for many years, Hu Jia was angry, but he did not lose his mind. Everyone, this stinky bitch is on her last legs. Everyone, hurry up and take action. Otherwise, if her old thief master Ni comes to know the news, we will all suffer. The reputation of Xenophonta is unknown to almost everyone in the entire spiritual world. After hearing what she said, everyone stopped laughing at him and quickly activated their magic weapons to help. For a time, the battle became fierce again. Looking at the golden talisman flying above Ling Suihong's head, Su Junming sighed slightly. Fenduo is indeed a respected Buddhist giant. Back in Biang Mountain, he had learned Fenchuo's small will three-phase divine Dharma, the great sandalwood Dharma, the great and small Vajra heavenly dragons and Dharma, the great Sumuruyi formless divine light, the great Vajra Sumuru divine palm, the heavenly dragon sword technique, heavenly dragon escape technique, great thunder sound Vajra Buddha fire. If it weren't for his more sophisticated methods and the mysterious spiritual treasures in his hands, he would hardly be able to suppress this great Buddhist master who has been practicing for thousands of years. But now it seems that in addition to the Buddhist skills he learned last time, Fenchuo also has a certain realm in the soul. Although this golden talisman's protection against the soul is still far behind him, it can at least block attacks against souls at the soul level. Being able to understand so many Buddhist Dharma, and also practice it to an extremely profound level, and even transcend the ordinary world in terms of cultivation, this is evident from Fenchuo's qualifications, understanding, and character. However, even with the golden talisman protecting his soul, Ling Suihong could not stop 9 monks of the same realm from joining forces. Especially Hu Jia, although his golden spirit arm is not subtle enough, its power is indeed extraordinary. The palm fell down, containing the power to destroy mountains and mountains. It was very powerful. In addition, there is a monk who looks like an 8 or 9-year-old boy. His cultivation has reached the late stage of Yuan Shen. He holds a Luo god's flag in his hand, and when he shakes it, the sky is filled with flames, which can be said to burn mountains and boil seas. Seeing that Ling Suihong's aura was getting weaker and weaker as her mana was consumed, Chen Lin said, "Master, do you want to help her?" What do you think? Su Junming smiled. Think for a moment. If this disciple is still the leader of the Wutai sect at this moment, he will definitely not take action. Ling Suihong killed many Wutai disciples. Although they all had a way to die, in order to maintain the centripetal force within the sect, let alone save this enemy, it would be good not to step on them. But now the disciple has joined the sect of his mentor and has nothing to do with the Wutai sect anymore. Although Ling Suihong killed many people, most of them had a way to die. Killing one of them means saving 100. Put aside the grievances of the sect, I don't want such a narrow-minded person to die here. Otherwise, the injustice in this world will be much more. Haha, it seems that you have become more mature after experiencing the last death disaster, Su Junming said with a smile. Chen Lin smiled bitterly and said, anyone who wanders on the edge of death will change a little. He nodded slightly and looked at the fighting in the field. It just so happens that your master and I also need merit. These people are very evil, so I will capture them and leave them to your fourth uncle to work as coolies. Before he finished speaking, a simple stone door flew out from Su Junming's top door, and in an instant it expanded to a size of 100 feet. A huge bronze mirror on the lintel bloomed with a bright silver-white brilliance. The waterfall-like light instantly enveloped the surrounding area for hundreds of miles. The people fighting at the top of Kaiwan Temple were instantly froze when illuminated by the mirror. The mirror light retracted, and except for Ling Suihong, the other 9 people flew over quickly. The stone door opened and took them in. With a flash of light, the stone door disappeared instantly. Everything happened so fast that it was almost impossible to react. With a flick of his fingers, the seal on Ling Suihong was instantly released. Seeing Su Junming, his expression changed drastically. It's you. As Fen Tuo's direct disciple, she certainly knew about this true lord of Chongshan who had fought with her master in Biang Mountain and still won. Before Su Junming could speak, a bolt of light faster than lightning flew from the south. Before anyone arrived, angry voices had already been heard. Zhenjun Chongshan, you are a powerful immortal, but you bully a junior. This is too much. In the rolling sound waves, the Buddha's light surged, and a giant palm thousands of feet high came over overwhelmingly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 557. Chapter 546, Moon Island. Su Junming clenched his fist and punched it forward slowly but really quickly. In an instant, a storm surged in the air, and a giant fist with 1,000 feet met the giant palm. Boom! A thunderbolt from the blue, the sound shook thousands of miles. The exploding clouds sprayed wildly around, and within a radius of thousands of feet, there was a clear sky. Fen Tuo, it's no secret that you are also a Buddhist monk, and you do things indiscriminately. If I didn't have some tricks up my sleeve, I'm afraid I'd be dead at your hands. But a ray of light fell in front of Ling Suihong, revealing an old nun wearing a green monk's robe, with a thin figure, 2 white eyebrows flying up, and a serious expression. She was also a person with a high level of understanding. She had just received a letter asking for help from her disciple, and rushed over in a hurry. She didn't notice it for a moment, and then took action rashly. Now looking at the situation on the field and the expression on his disciple Chi Chiai's face, he instantly understood that he had made a mistake. In addition, she had personally experienced Su Junming's skills. If he really wanted to embarrass his disciple, Ling Suihong would not be able to insist on coming. But this nun almost made a big mistake in his impatience. I hope Donor Su will forgive me. Funchuo, I saved your disciple's life, but I didn't even get a word of thank you from you. I even got a slap from you. It seems like your thousands of years of practice are nothing more than this. Let's go. Overhaul waved his hand and disappeared instantly with Chen Lin. Fenchuo's white eyebrows trembled and he repeatedly announced the Buddha's name. Master, just now the Golden Arm Walkers Huxia, Baixiu and other demon gangs besieged this disciple. It was Senior Chongshan who rescued this disciple. Amitabha, I understand. This time our master and disciple owe him a big cause and effect. Master, it's all my fault. Ling Suihong's face showed a look of frustration. Everything is destined, and you don't have to blame yourself. Just pay back the karma in the future. Ling Suihong nodded helplessly. At this time, Su Junming had returned to Li's house with Chen Lin. Master, that old nun Fenchuo is so unreasonable. If I had known this, I shouldn't have rescued Ling Suihong, Chen Lin said angrily. Su Junming smiled and waved. You are wrong. Looking at the disciple's stunned expression. Rescuing Ling Suihong is just a casual act. But letting Laonai Fenduo owe us a big cause and effect is a big gain. The most important thing in Buddhism is cause and effect. With this good fate, God Nfenchuo will not end up sitting in Imei in the future. He didn't plan to tell Chen Lin about this deep consideration for the time being. Now, he still focuses on restoring his cultivation. When he advances to the immortal path, it will not be too late to consider these things. Time passed little by little, and in the blink of an eye, Su Junming had been staying in the Li family for a year. A year later, under his guidance, Li Ning has advanced to the level of innate. Okay, stop it. Li Ning, who was sweating on his forehead, strode over with an excited expression. Master, I think I can practice for a while longer. Su Junming smiled and shook his head. No need, your body hasn't fully grown yet, so it's not easy to practice too much, otherwise it's easy to damage the roots. Disciple, obey. He pointed to the seat next to him. Sit down. Li Ning nodded obediently and sat down on the futon next to him. My master and your seventh senior brother have been here for a year, and now it's time to leave. Li Ning became anxious when he heard this and got up in a hurry. Master, I will go with you. Su Junming's face darkened. I have taught you so many times to stay calm when encountering trouble. Seeing the master's change of expression, Li Ning's heart trembled and he quickly sat down again. Master, please calm down. Disciple, there will be no next time. Su Junming nodded and continued, the reason why I don't take you away is because you still have parents. As a son of a man, if you don't fulfill your filial piety, how are you different from an animal? My disciples will never allow such people to exist. Seeing his silent expression, Su Junming's expression relaxed. You don't have to worry too much. Over the past year, you have laid a good foundation. You just need to practice step by step. Did you see the projection of the Sankei Shenmen in your danshan? Li Ning nodded quickly. After advancing to the innate level, spiritual consciousness will be born. With spiritual consciousness, one can naturally see the situation in the danshan. If there's anything you don't understand, if you don't know, just ask me through the projection of the human soul gate. Disciple, I obey. After hesitating for a moment, he said, Master, when can I go to you? Don't worry, come back when you have fulfilled your filial duty. In addition, my disciples are not allowed to get married. In the future, you will also be able to marry and have children, so as to continue the incense of the Li family. Yes. Su Junming opened his palms, a small golden palm, a small silver sword, and a red pennant. The golden palm, with a simple and rough name, is called golden palm. It was made by Su Junming using Hujia's golden spiritual arm. The small silver sword is called the Tei light-splitting sword, which he refined using the hardware he collected from the 9 people he suppressed at Kaiwan Temple. The red pennant, called the red cloud flame flag, was made by combining several flags from the 9 people, extracting their essence, and refining it. It contains the way of fire, has both offensive and defensive uses, and is infinitely mysterious. Of course, the 9 people in Kaiwan Temple who were suppressed by him were not the only ones with these treasures. However, Su Junming looked down on those evil treasures that were trained with bones, ghosts, and evil spirits. Most of them were destroyed by him, except for a few with extraordinary materials. He was left to practice again. In addition, a relic accumulated by Li Ning in his previous life was added to the 3 spiritual treasures. The golden palm corresponds to the Vajragiant spirit palm. The Tai light-splitting sword corresponds to the large and small sandalwood divine light. The red cloud flame flag corresponds to the Polo divine flame. This is a magical weapon for you. All 3 of them are top spiritual treasures that complete the 12 spiritual realms. You major in flame Taoism, and the red cloud flame flag can be used for both offense and defense. It can be used as a treasure of your destiny. You may be coveted by others if you possess a valuable treasure. All 3 treasures have my seals. They will be gradually unsealed as your cultivation level advances. However, as the natal spiritual treasure of the red cloud flame flag, I have one less seal. It has the power of a low-grade magic weapon, which can help you protect yourself and eliminate enemies. Thank you, mentor. Su Junming nodded slightly. Okay, I've already told you what I need to tell you. It's getting late, so it's time for me to leave. Take me to say hello to your father. After saying yes respectfully, when Li Ning looked up again, his master and senior brother had disappeared. After being together for a long time, Li Ning, who had become accustomed to their existence, instantly became empty in his heart, and his face was full of loss. In an instant, Su Junming and Chen Lin appeared hundreds of miles away from Jiazhuang. Master, where should we go next? Go to the East China Sea. East China Sea. Before Chen Lin could ask any more questions, Su Junming had already taken a bamboo stick, strode forward, and walked towards the distance along the official road. 1 step is 100 steps in an instant. Looking at his master's back, Chen Lin quickly followed him. Above the East China Sea, the turbid waves surge into the sky. The vast expanse of ocean stretches thousands of miles across. The rich water essence is as thick as honey. It is indeed worthy of being called the Middle Thousand World. A place like this is simply a holy place for practicing water magic, Su Junming praised. Haha, master. Although the water essence in the sea is strong, it is still several levels behind those in Lingshan Cave. Su Junming nodded slightly. I heard that Tianyi Golden Mother's Xiun Palace is in the East China Sea. Have you been there? Chen Lin shook his head. Tianyi Golden Mother has ascended for many years. The cave is located under the deep sea. It is difficult to find it unless there are important treasures or Yuan-Shen monks. Moreover, the cave is forbidden and cannot be entered even if it is found, so no one knows about it for many years. After a pause. Master, 500 miles further we will reach Ur Island. Su Junming nodded slightly. He waved his hand and caught Chen Lin with a flash of light, urging Hu Tianshen to perform the technique, and the 2 men disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, an island that was hundreds of miles in size and shaped like a crescent moon appeared in front of him. Other islands are surrounded by dense water vapor, but the flame aura here is as strong as boiling. Overlooking this island with rugged rocks and no grass. A sunken basin in the middle comes into view. The basin is 50 or 60 miles in length and breadth, with smooth walls. In the middle is a large hole 30 miles in diameter. The churning magma and fire inside can be seen with the naked eye. The rich flame aura comes from this. Master, the cave of Master Lianshan, one of the 3 founders of Yimei, is located here. Su Junming nodded slightly. Of course he is no stranger to Lianshan. This man is Master Chenmei's uncle. In the past, he made a great wish to find a way to ascend to the immortal world by using the right way of the side sect and the sects of the world. Instead of using the 9 heavens Xianjing of the Xian sect, he began to collect side sect techniques from every sect in the world, and even practiced the secret manual of heavenly demons. In the end, he was invaded by 10,000 demons and died. However, the reason why Master Lianshan is known to everyone is not because of his great ambitions, but because of the treasures he left in the cave on Yui'er Island. The Tai Ching Fan, the Xianguang ruler, the dragon bird ring, and the clutch Wuongui are all rare treasures in the Shushan world, and a pair of fairy swords were taken away by the Chenmei master. Therefore, in terms of quality alone, the Lianshan treasure is still higher than the 4 treasures of Ai Zhenzi. What's more, there are dozens of treasures hidden in Lianshan's treasure house, and the number is even greater. After Master Lianshan became a Taoist, he left behind a verse that once every 52 years the sea is opened, allowing cultivators from different sects to go down to retrieve a treasure. If you don't respect it, you will be banned from knocking down the treasure below the island. The eternal volcano was reduced to ashes in the ancient oven. Looking at the many restrictions on the island, the aura of Binghuo in the eyes of fire, melting metal into iron, and the poisonous gas in the earth's lungs are even more powerful. Do we have to wait for a while and wait for the sea to open before going down to retrieve the treasure? Get the treasure. Su Junming shook his head. The treasures in the Lianshan treasury, except for the clutch of Wuongui and Yingui, the other treasures have long been taken away by the 2 elders of Songshan, Sanfan of Xiun Palace and Jing Sunu. We are not here for the treasure inside. With one step, his body looked like a shooting star, falling straight towards the flaming eye. Chen Lin did not dare to neglect and quickly followed. As soon as he entered the fire mouth, he was greeted by a wave of boiling heat. As far as the eye can see, the surroundings are surrounded by golden red flames. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 558. He quickly activated Tai Wan Luo to protect his body, thus blocking out the unbearable scorching heat. Seeing his master strolling leisurely and slowly falling towards the magma, as if he couldn't feel the heat of the place at all, Chen Lin secretly admired him in his heart. The core of the earth is too hot, more powerful than many soul-level spiritual fires, and the further down it gets, the stronger it becomes, and even the fairy fire will be inferior to it later on. Being able to withstand such a raging fire without a magical weapon and relying only on cultivation can only be done by a first-rate immortal. In fact, for Su Junming, who is physically strong, the temperature of the crater is only slightly hot, far from being hot. With Tai Wan Luo, which was several times more powerful after being trained by Su Junming, Chen Lin followed closely behind Su Junming. However, after going thousands of feet deep into the eye of fire, the surrounding flames were already comparable to fairy fire. Even with Tai Wan Luo protecting him, the earthly fire here was not something he could bear. Looking at Chen Lin, who was still insisting and did not ask for help, Su Junming nodded slightly and a small jade tree rushed out above his head. A ray of green light rushed out of the tree, grabbed Chen Lin, and disappeared instantly. This guy is still as stubborn as ever. After smiling, continue downward. After going 1,000 feet deeper, the surrounding magma had turned into a sea of fire. The golden red flames are so hot that unless they are monks in the fairyland or have powerful fire-preventing treasures, they cannot reach here at all. With the help of the bronze mirror, it was easy to find the cave left by Master Lianshan on the cliff not far away. This is a stone platform located in magma. Because it has been in the eye of fire and has been calcined by earth fire for thousands of years, its material has long been extraordinary. In front of the stone platform, which is about half an acre in size, are 2 sword-holding warriors about 3 feet tall. Guarded by 2 warriors, there is a cave that is 9 feet wide and 1 foot high. The ancient stone gate is tightly closed and heavily restricted. Above the lintel, there are 4 characters: Lianshan Cave Mansion with iron paintings and silver hooks. Looking at people based on their characters, if these 4 characters were written by Lianshan himself, he must be a person with a determined mind and a stubborn temper. When he landed on the stone platform, the restraint was activated, and the cave guard raised his sword with an angry look on his face, as if he was about to cut him down. Seeing this, Su Junming shook his head slightly. Puppet Road is so easy to cultivate. Certainly. Light cyan auras spread out from the palm of his hand, and the stone man and even the restriction on the door were immobilized by this aura. He urged Hu Tianshen to perform his magic, passed through the stone gate, and soon came to a wide hall covering an area of several acres. The surrounding walls are like red jade, overflowing with light and extremely gorgeous. You can vaguely see traces of the placement of treasures in the opened stone boxes, but they are all empty now. On the stone wall directly opposite, there is a portrait of a handsome young man in feathers and a star crown, about 25 or 6. Since my fellow Taoist is here, why don't you come out and meet me, Su Junming said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, the portrait changed instantly. Along with the spiritual light, the light and shadow not only came to life, but also walked down from the jade. I am a poor Taoist who lives in the mountains. I have met fellow Taoists. Master Lianshan looked solemn. There is no doubt that people who even he can't see the truth must have already achieved immortality. Su Junming, I have met fellow Taoist Lianshan. I wonder why my friend came to my cave? If it's to get treasure, you saw it? The treasures here have been taken away by predecessors. Su Junming shook his head slightly. Getting the treasure is just incidental. It doesn't matter whether you can get it or not. I am here just for a meritorious deed. Lianshan's face changed slightly. Friend Taoist, do you want to eliminate this ancient fire eye? Exactly. Lianshan's face instantly darkened. At the beginning, he gave up the orthodox Taoist sect and studied all kinds of dharma. He wanted to find a way to become an immortal for the scattered cultivators of different sects in the world, so as to gain tens of millions of merits, become a Taoist with the title of Golden Immortal, and pave the way for subsequent practice. It's a pity that human power cannot defeat the heavens. The purpose of the heavenly calamity test is to expose those monks who are already unqualified. Therefore, in the end he was harassed by 10,000 demons and died. However, he also knew the difficulty of what he was doing, so he left a backup plan when he was going through the tribulation, saving a trace of his soul. After thousands of years of practice in the cave, he finally recovered his original cultivation level. He only needs to obtain a great merit to ascend to the spiritual world. And this merit is the ancient fire eye outside. Only a few seconds later, Yu Yingnan used the clutch Wu Yongyi to break the fire eye, and he could use his own backhand to restrain the fire, eliminate disaster, and gain merit. If this merit is taken away by others, then he can only accumulate it again, or simply become an earthly immortal in the lower world. Master Lianshan is arrogant, and of course he is not willing to be an earthly immortal in the lower world. Otherwise, how will we face fellow disciples Daiwan Jinren and Chuo Sanzi in the future? He is also a person who wants face. Fellow Taoist, the fire eye is related to the future of this poor Taoist. I wonder if you can let it go? If you agree, Lianshan will be grateful to you for your kindness, and you will be richly rewarded in the future. Su Junming smiled lightly. The underground fire eye is also related to my path. But I am not an unreasonable person. I will leave your future path to Pandeo. Before his face could react, a mysterious bell suddenly rang. Lianshan is just the master of the soul and has no physical body, so he can't compete with Su Junming's soul-falling bell magical power. In an instant, 3 souls were swaying, 7 souls were shaking, and they couldn't even lift half of their magic power. A mysterious black divine door wrapped around a gourd vine rushed out of Su Junming's head. A chain flew out from the red gourd of the gourd vine, trapped Lianshan Yuanshen, and pulled it in. In an instant, countless pictures appeared in Su Jun's sea of consciousness. It's like watching a movie, seeing all the monastic paths in the past one by one. Including the Ime's direct transmission technique that he wanted most. 9 Heavens Mysterious Scripture. The mystery of this sect, which was directly passed down from Taking Dynasty and reached directly to the Golden Immortal, can only be compared with the Hesha Kishu and the Chunyang Sutra. In addition to the 9 Heavens Mysterious Scripture, there is also a method in Lianshan's memory that can directly reach the Golden Immortal, the secret book of the Purple Mansion. This is the method passed down directly from Xiun Palace's Tianyi Golden Mother. Tianyi Jinmu is a Taoist companion of Lianshan, so Lianshan also knows this technique. Lianji Fine Dust Formation. Apart from the 9 Heavens Mysterious Scripture, this is the formation that Su Junming hopes to obtain most. Its mystery and profoundness can only be compared to the array of 12 witches and gods that was obtained from Master Huosang in the Liuzai world last time. In addition to the 2 methods that can directly lead to the Golden Immortal, and the formation that Su Junming wants most. In Lianshan's memory, there are thousands of various magical skills and secret techniques, including magic methods. He wanted to find a new path and open up a path for the scattered cultivators of other sections. Of course, he had to be well informed in order to innovate and innovate. Even if you give up the merit of destroying the ancient fire eyes, this memory is still worth the price. Su Junming sighed. After sorting out these exercises, his collection of books will be much richer. He activated the human soul divine gate to erase all memories of Lianshan's meeting with him, and then temporarily put it away. When the time comes, I will send you to the world of Chongshan to be reincarnated. I will not break my promise then, and I will personally bring you to the Tao and give you a path to the Golden Immortal. With a flick of his finger, a bright light penetrated the wall on the left, and the originally red jade cracked open a door in an instant. After entering, there is another stone room. In the center of the stone chamber stands a stone tablet with 16 characters of stone verses carved on it. 2 heroes and beauties come together, separate and unite with Nanming, use fire to quench fire, and you will succeed. Above the stone tablet, there is a 5-foot large fireball. There is a space about 1 foot in the fireball. In the middle of the fireball sits a red man who looks like a baby. His whole body is red, his eyes are slightly closed, and his expression is peaceful. He was trapped in a fireball, surrounded by fire from above and below, and in the fire there were thousands of hair-thin 7-color rays of light, like flying rays from a rainstorm, and red people flying around him. It seems that if there is even the slightest movement, it will burst into flames. Anyone who has seen Shushan will know who this baby is. Fire is harmless. It was originally born from the intercourse between man and fire, a strange beast of the wilderness. It is similar to Sushilan in the legend of the white snake. However, the latter is the descendant of Wenkuxing, while the former is the essence of Liwo. Later, he obtained a path book near the southern star plains in the East Great Desert, and then he became successful in cultivation. It has been 1,000 years now. Although he has been cultivating Taoism for many years, he has not been able to become an immortal because he has never received the true transmission. Later, I heard that there was a fire sutra among the treasures left by Master Lianshan, so I wanted to get it. Later, I tried to separate Wuungi, and was killed by Lianshan's great 5 elements exterminating divine light needle, leaving only the soul. However, Huo Wuhei's talent were indeed extraordinary, and he actually condensed his soul and embarked on the same path to immortality as the blissful boy Li Jingxiu. Looking at the 7-color light needle surrounding the fire harmlessly, Su Junming remembered a 5 elements sutra he saw in Lianshan's memory. At the beginning, Lianshan and Taoist master Hesha fought 3 times and never won once. Then he became curious about the 5 elements Taoism, and after painstaking calculations, he found a 5 elements sutra on an island in the South China Sea that could lead to immortality. By the time he mastered it, Master Hesha had achieved the ascension of the Golden Immortal. This golden immortal is not that golden immortal. The golden immortal in the Shushan world is just a synonym for the fruits of cultivation. Specifically describes those masters who can ascend both spiritually and physically at the same time, rather than those powerful golden immortals. Su Junming himself also practiced the five elements Taoism intensively, but the results of this part of the five elements Taoism rested on the Fuyapo Dharmakaya Dragon Emperor. But even so, he can still use it. He stretched out his hand and a five-color divine light fell into the fireball. With a bang sound, the fireball exploded. A stream of red light rushed out from it like lightning. I'm free, haha, I'm finally out. Huo Wuhei, who had been imprisoned for 300 years, had a face full of ecstasy. Seeing Su Junming standing next to him, Huo Wuhei quickly stepped forward and cupped his fists in salute. Huo Wuhei would like to thank fellow Taoist for saving his life. If I ask for anything in the future, Huo Wuhei will never refuse. I know, go ahead. Su Junming waved his hand. Although Huo Wuhei had excellent qualifications, he had no intention of accepting him as his disciple. Because this gentleman has been cultivating for thousands of years and has finally managed to form his soul into a physical form. If he is asked to give up his cultivation and practice again, he will most likely refuse. If you don't give up, you will never be able to build a towering building on a weak foundation. Huo Wuhei was stunned. He didn't expect that the other party would let him go so easily and ask for nothing.